Alt R.
There is an option there. Down.
Yeah, I have selected that recording. I think it's recording on this computer. Okay, thank you very much. So let us start. We have 11 participants so far, and I can mute everyone if you don't mind, and whatever the question, or I can let them.
So Sabri, this is Masood Hassan. You want to do the question answer session at the end of after the presentation,
Correct, because then I cannot simultaneously focus on the chat and the question answer as well as the investment strategies. And if the time is not left, then you can send me the questions afterwards and I can respond to you individually. And if need so, and people are so enthusiastic, then Shahid Bhai has very kindly set up another meeting just after this. So we can extend this meeting, not extend this meeting, we can redial and have another meeting. So to start with, we have 11 participants. So let me start and kick on. So this is about the stock investment strategy that is, I would say, 90% of my own, although I have learned quite a few things from so many gurus and experts out there. One particular disclaimer, let it be out of the way, that the material presented here is for educational learning purposes only and should not be taken as purchase recommendations. Investing in stocks and derivatives, which include futures option, is risky and could result in a substantial loss of invested capital. Please make a note of that. Personally, I'm not a registered financial advisor with FINRA or SEC. And for any financial advice, please consult to a registered financial advisor. In other words, I cannot give you financial advice about your particular investment and decisions. That has to be made by a registered financial advisor. So as I describe some of the strategies that I use currently, my main strategy is this one, which is swing trading, to invest for a time period starting from 1 day to few weeks in mainly growth stocks. I also do future trading, but I'm just leaving it because I have doubts about it being the halal. And let me share with you, it is very, very, I would say, tough. It's just trying to capture the stock movement during a particular daytime for a few hours or even a few minutes. And at times it's not really, I would say, easy to do that. Day trading is a time. By day trading, I mean day trading in stocks. I also explored options trading, but not anymore. This again because of the halal aspects, Islamic aspect, because all of the you are mashallah Muslims, so you understand the point of view. Otherwise, I cannot explain this thing to non-Muslims, especially the US clients. Lessons learned so far, which is for everybody out there, stock trading is not as easy as it appears or many claim, especially futures. Don't put up your survival capital at risk, only additional savings. So if let's say if you have $200,000 and that's all you have, I will never recommend you to put up your capital, which if it is lost or gone, then you run into serious troubles. Don't do that. Only the capital which you can afford to lose. And it will be, to some people, it will be amazing that it requires a lot of patience and psychological strength and emotional control. That has to do a lot. Even then, some of the psychologists says, and very expert traders, that 60 to 70% of your success come from your psychology and emotional control, not what you learn as a trader or as an investor. Now, this is where it becomes tricky. The individual investors have less success chances compared to professionals who are better equipped, educated, and experienced. So these include people like you and me, who are individuals who do not belong to institutions like banks, funds, and hedge fund and institutions like Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, etc., etc. This particular quote I like very much, and I think is 100% accurate, whoever said that. The stock market is an instrument to transfer money from pockets of individual, retail, small investors to those of professionals. And some people might push it off. That what does it mean? Why should then I get into the stocks? We will look into that. Why should you still invest in stock? Now, why is it so? It is so because those professionals, they have got their educations. They have high-tech systems, algorithms, computer softwares, they have seats in stock exchanges. They know how to make money out of it. But at whose cost? People like you and me, right? Who are new, who normally works on tips. Somebody has told them, hey, Masood bhai, this stock is going to go 100% in 6 months. It's hot. Buy this. And people just jump into that bandwagon. But at the back end, very back end, there are professionals who normally they are known as market makers, and they manage markets. They move stocks, they manage markets, and they know how to drop a stock to a particular level to ask people to jump in, and then how to, in other words, how to take money out of your pockets. Simple as that. So be very careful of that, of those big fishes. Now, if that's the case, then why should we invest in stocks? It has some pros and cons like everything else. In the long run, stock provides much better return compared to bonds and other investment. In our case, those are interest income, so many of us are not interested, obviously, to earn interest incomes. But those are very low because interest rates are also very high. Compared to real estate, it is very liquid. You can just convert stock into cash whenever you want compared to real estate. And the real estate can even go down in certain areas, which are run down, which are not hot real estate markets. And there are so many other things. It's not easy to just sell. People who don't do it every day, to sell or buy properties every day. On the other hand, it's not uncommon to find growth stocks which can generate 50 to 100% annual return. Although growth stocks are generally riskier than value stocks. Value stocks are those stocks which move very slowly. They are very established companies and they have been there for ages, like AT&T and like maybe ExxonMobil, and so they don't move that quickly compared to companies like Tesla, compared to companies like a chip maker, because their growth is exponential. So that's why their stock also move according to their potential. Con side again, kind of repetitive here, highly risky compared to treasury bond series, requires active portfolio management. Now, in my opinion, if you want to make money in stock, then you need to actively manage your own portfolio. If you cannot do it, then leave it to your 401k fund managers, or at the best index fund, buy index fund, and just live with that. Because over slow period of time, stocks will slowly move, or even the index will slowly move. An average rate is 8 to 10%. Learning is not easy as it appears of many projects. As I said, people work on tips. Do not do that. Never work on tips for anyone, including myself. This slide gives you an idea about the world GDP that starting in the year 1500. The world GDP as of 1990 international dollars was around 100, let's see, 150, 120. In the year 2000, it has grown to 5,500 plus, in fact, 6,500. That's a log scale. That means in this 500 years, GDP per capita in terms of 1990 US dollar has increased by 65-fold. So in other words, the poverty is going down, and overall the world is better off what it used to be 100 years ago. Now, I'm not sure how authentic is data, how they were calculating world GDP in the year 1500 or 16 or 1700. But for last 100 or 200 years, I think the data is quite, I would say, plausible and acceptable. Now, this is US GDP per capita. And what it is showing that over a period of, let's say, from 1880 to 2009, even though you see some blips here like Great Depression and like this one and the Gulf War and this 2009, 2008, Great Recession, whatever. But slowly the GDP per capita is also increasing in terms of $2,005. So from, let's say, in 1871, it was less than $5,000, but in year 2009, it was $45,000. So what it means that GDP is increasing per person in the US, and GDP in the world overall is also increasing. In other words, people are making more money than they used to make. Now, this slide could be very important. So what does the stock market do? Stock market simply replicates and try to beat this GDP or at least copy this GDP. So that's how you should expect that your stock should give the return to you in line with this GDP and the world GDP growth. Now, this again is a log scale. So this is year 1925. From it's almost 100 years, 1925 to year 2021. As good as 1st of April, right? Now, if you see the areas in these red boxes, these areas are known as bear markets, secular bear markets. And the areas outside these boxes are bullish markets, bull markets. So right now we are in a bull market. And what this graph tells us that starting from 1950, because just before the Great Depression, 1929, the stock market was having a very good run like this. But because of the Second World War and the Great Depression, it could not surpass its previous high when it dropped till 1951. So that's a period of more than 20 years. It was trying to come back, then went down, then come back, then went down. But from 1951 to 1966 or 7, it gives an average annual return of 11.28% return. Then again, a bear market came in play, and the average annual return was during that market was 2.82%. Now GDP was higher than this, so stock market underperformed compared to GDP. In early 80s, on the Ronald Reagan came into power. After that, the stock market again kicked off, and the average annual return from that point onwards, so year 2000, was 15.41. So this period lasted for 20 years. This period lasted for 20 years. And so far, after the Great Recession, there was a bear market after year 2000 when there was a Nasdaq crash, and then the 9/11 and other things. The stock market struggled, could not achieve its prior high till year 2013. So we can say the bear market in reality ended here at this point, 2013. And since then is only 8 years. So if history is a guide, then according to this particular guide, again, we have 13.33% return so far in the last 8 years, average annualized return. Then this is 20 years, this is 20 years. So this market, if it is following this history, should at least last for another 12 years. Now, is it going to be a smooth ride? Absolutely not. This is pandemic last year. This is trade war with China, that impact. So along the way, it will have its own impacts, ups and downs, crests and troughs, just like 1986. But now if you look in the back mirror, so this hardly appears as a blip, right? In this particular session, not much a difference. So bullish markets, stock market has a tendency to overcome or rise through the wall of the worries. So you will have another, like say, I don't know how long this pandemic will last, 10 years, not 10 years, not maybe 1 year, 6 months, whatever. But eventually, since we are in a bullish phase, so we can expect that if stock market will continue to rise for at least 10, 12 years, especially given the low interest rate and the growth environment in which we are currently right now. Now, even then, if during this bear market, there are times when you need to out of the stock market, let the market consolidate and establish itself. And this particular session is good for you. So that's why I would not suggest anyone to go short at this particular time. And in fact, go long as long as you can. If anyone has any question on this, so okay, it's Nadeem Charlie. Thank you, Nadeem, for identifying yourself. No problem. I'm recording this presentation and we will send inshallah a PDF of this particular slides show outside. The great companies, what they do, this is the average stock market return. The great companies, they beat this GDP trend. So when you invest in a stock, you own a portion of their business. Okay, for example, there are some great companies between the period 2012 and 2019. This blue line at the top just give you something around 900% return between last 7 years, these 7 years. And what was the average return here? 13.33%. But this company gives you 900% return. What was that? Domino's Pizza. You're surprised. Alphabet, which is Google, give you something around, Alphabet is this one, 300% return. Amazon, something around 725% return. This is starting from the same range. Microsoft, something around 560%. Apple, the great success story, just give you around 150% return. But compare this with the GDP. The average return was 13.33% return. So you need to be in these kind of stocks if you want to make money. How to identify these kind of stocks when they're starting their run. Because if you happen to have just one piece of share or some piece of pie on one or two of these good companies, that probably will make a significant difference on your overall return. So how do I approach this investment? Because already 20 minutes have been passed. I call it a trend recognition strategy. So what we do using a proprietary method, we try to identify these trends, like this trend, this trend, this trend. On every day, on every week, this system gives us trend signals or different stocks, which are, according to the system, is giving this, starting these trends. And some of them, maybe 1 or 2% of them, will show this kind of explosive growth over a period of, let's say, 5-7 years, which we want to be in, not to miss those. So once the trend is found, its strength and directions are identified. Is the trend upward or downward? For example, this particular stock could be in a downward trend from here to here. So are we at the right place? And how strong is the trend? There are ways and methods of doing that. Aim is to generate market beating returns, but that's what my objective is. While market beating returns means the market is giving you what? 13.33% return here for last 8 years. So we want to beat those while adhering to certain principles, making the money right way. So we don't want to, for example, invest in, now again, coming back to our religious thinking, and gambling stocks or in interest-based banking stocks, although it's hard to explain those things to non-Muslim client here. Now, once we identify the trend and the strength and direction, then the performance and future potential are determined using 20 plus factors, which include these, but not limited to, for example, the price, how the price is performing, what is the volume, money flow, how the investors' money is flowing in and out of the stock. There are indicators of using that. Volatility, how volatile is the stock? How much is the range? Is it showing good momentum? Earning, is it beating its earning projections? Wall Street have earning projections for every company out there. Now, if a stock continues to, if the company continues to beat those earning projections, then it gives surprises. And according to those surprises, Wall Street can reassess its value. And that's how there are big jumps out there. And there are other factors as well, such like accumulation, distribution. How is Wall Street means the experts, professionals? Are they accumulating the stocks or shares of a particular company, or are they distributing, they're selling it off? So that's the approach. Basically, it comes down to this thing. Stock should be a leader in its industry, like there are stocks in software, technology, etc. Leader means it should be top performing stock within its particular industry. And the industry should also be an outperformer compared to the broader market. Our industry should be beating other industries. In the broader market is S&P 500 in the US. Some of the tactics we use once you have the trend, not, for example, market is bullish these days. So you will find hundreds of companies showing trends every day. So not every trend is going to work out. So find a proper buy point when a stock is coming out of a strong base. So I highlighted this so that let me explain this thing to you. This is a very recent chart. It's a known company known as MTEX. Ametis Inc. is a company of renewable fuel and energy. So the stock is consolidating. It's not going anywhere. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down for how many months? Since August till January. But starting from January, our system gave a trend trend signal at this point, right? Which was mid of the January, something like that. And since January, once it kicked off, it's a log scale again. So it's for 3.62 here, and within a month's time or 2 months time, it's 27, which is a 772% gain of this particular stock. So our system gave a signal right here. Now, unfortunately, because of many reasons, I did not invest it myself, but I gave the output of my system to my brother who do this. And he was very lucky to get into the right time. This is the stock coming out of the base. This is the base which has created this from August till early 2021. When it's coming out of base, the trend is sorry. Okay, fine. So then if you're lucky enough that you know the trend and then you find it's a right coming out of a base, this is a proper buy point, then this one particular investment, for example, if you invest $1,000 here, within 2 months, it is $9,000, right? Based on this 772% gain. This one particular entry in one stock can cover the losses. For example, if you made investment in 3 or 4 or 5 stocks, or those 3 or 4 underperform or give you losses, but this one particular can make the day for you. And in fact, all you need is just to identify, according to this trend strategy, 2 or 3 of these stocks in a year, and that will be it. Coming back to this slide, it's not because we want to hold a stock once it has a proper buy point coming out of a strong base, showing a trend in this kind of industry, then we take first partial at 10 to 15% because we don't want to incur losses. Except for an 8-week rule for this particular stock showing an 8-week rule, because this is coming so strongly, so we don't want to take profit at 10-15%. It could be out there for a big run. Ideally, profit should be 20 to 25% for the whole position. Once you are done with the 20 to 25%, take a closer look at what you want to get out or you want to let it run. And let the stock run, because stock is still running over its key. And nobody knows, it's trying to break out again. So it has 772% in less than 2 months. In over 2 months. So where it goes in the near future, it might go up, continue its run, or it might go down. One of the very key essential, I would say, aspect is risk management. Sound risk management is the key. The number one rule is to protect your capital. If at the end of the day, you have your capital, you can survive another day. So what we do, our maximum stop loss in any position, that's about a question, very common question. What is the maximum loss you take? I'd never take a loss more than 8%. 7 to 8% is my maximum loss. And my average loss is 6 to 7%. Since we are targeting, 20 to 25%, so let's say it's 24%, and then we are saying is 8%, so we're targeting a risk to reward ratio of 1:3. Which means that if out of 3 trades, 2 are not profitable, in fact 3 are not profitable, and then 1 is profitable, then that one particular trade will make up for the losses of rest of the 3. Once there is a 10 to 15% profit, never allow the stock to turn back into a loss. Okay, we are there to make money, not to give money to the market makers and the people who are there to take empty our pockets. So for this particular purpose, we use these principles. This is stop loss, risk management. We use manual and trailing stop losses. And by its very nature, this strategy is more suited for growth stock compared to value stocks. Now, this strategy is based on certain principle, which is, I have come up with this principle based on Islamic principles, but I don't call it purely 100% halal, because then you need a certification from an agency. I would say it's meets broader definition versus a very strict definition. For example, the company where you're investing, their primary income source should not be interest. So we avoid investment like banks, capital funds, mortgage funds, lenders, credit unions, even insurance companies. I'm very particular about this. If there is a doubt, then why should we invest in insurance? Sin stuff like alcohol, cannabis, tobacco, although cannabis is very in these days, tobacco, gambling stocks, casinos, resorts, inappropriate media, etc. So these are the cautions I take personally myself and the people who advise, like my brother and others, some of the family friends. I give you another example. This is a very recent again. This is known as wave holding. So our system gives this. You see these green dot? That's the proprietary system I was talking about. So it gives a signal that this is the point to buy coming out of a base here. So you buy this here. In fact, I did not buy it here. I bought it on the second signal right here when it's coming off another consolidation base. So starting from $28, it went all the way to the $44 in the how many months? Less than 2 months. February 1st and March 24th, and that made something around 60% return, right? So according to my rules, I sold some position here to protect some profits and let the rest of the position run. And the system was doing very well. It was following this particular line. So that was okay, giving good return, handsome return. Then all of a sudden something happened. And there was a huge volume on this particular day. And there was a company known as, I think, Archaeologist Capital, whoever, and they were short on many stocks, and they were margin calls by their lenders, and they had to sell millions of shares of many Chinese company, including this one, Wipshop. In this one particular day, the stock probably lost from $44, $45 to 35, 33% of its value. So when it crossed this position during the day, and since I was trailing it, so we had our loss, stop loss, something like here, but we identified, okay, the volume is extremely high. So this is coming down in a sharp way and it will further go down. That was our assessment, although the run was very, very good. So this is another learning here that a stock can do anything at any time because there are too many factors involved. So we just sold out every position right here, and that decision was very right on March 24, because stock from 44 went all the way to 24, 21, 26, 83. And since we entered here at 28, so had I just hold in the entire position, I would have run into losses. But we took partial profits here, we will profit here, and we earn good amount of money on that. The lesson is that you need to be actively monitoring it. This is what one of my point was. You just cannot leave it. Otherwise, stock has the potential to not even turn back, and instead of turning your good profit into huge losses as well, and you want to avoid that situation. So that was one of, now this is again a falling knife. Now people will come and say, hey, this was having a good runs, why not just buy it? It says, no, it's coming down. No, never catch a falling knife. An old saying in Wall Street, this is what they say. Because once it has a character change and coming down in such a sharp and heavy way, it probably will further fall down as like it did. And it still has a lot of work to do to recover this technical damage. This is another example of what I was saying about the stock. This particular stock appears just like it has now an uptrend. Fine. This is basically not a stock. This is an industry. This is known as computer service industries. This include Visa, MasterCard, Square, PayPal, and Zoom, the platform which you are using right now, and Hewlett Packard Enterprise. But if you take a closer look, you see that this industry, compared to its technology sector, is underperforming for last 6 months by 10%. And against the broader market is underperforming by 9%, 8.1%. While the technology sector itself is doing fine against the broader market 1.46%. So would you like to be in these stocks at this time? Unless there's an exception, maybe PayPal or Square is an exception. So we just don't see at the stock, we also see its industry and how the industry is performing against the broader market and this section. So even though the stock, this industry is showing a bit of strength here, but its overall trend is lower. So that's how we measure the strength of the industry against the sector and the market. And we would like to avoid these stocks, although there are good names out there, like Zoom or PayPal or Square, MasterCard. MasterCard or Visa, from the slang point of view, we also don't invest in that, but Square, PayPal, those are fine. The performance of this particular strategy is that in last data from January 1st to April 9, it has given a return of 55.1% compared to 10% against S&P, NASDAQ 7.45% the same period, Russell is 13.52%. And this is what my own particular investment capital is invested here. So on the average, I'm our average daily investment is just $23,000. And this return is based on this invested capital. And this is the broader market capital. So if you want to live with the index fund, how much the index fund would have given you? 10% in this 3 months. And how much this strategy? But for this strategy, then you need to follow, do an active management like we did here on this particular stock, right? To avoid losses. And then you need to follow the trends as well. In other words, it's a full-time job. What next? So it's still in testing phase. I'm still testing it as this is viable for long term. What about bear market? No, this is a long strategy only. Because of the Islamic ethical principles here, I had not added here. We don't do shorting with the stock. In other words, selling those stocks which we don't own, because there is a concern from Islamic scholars on that. So what would happen when you go back into this particular cycle, right? Bear cycle. Ideally, when we have the signals to tell you that, okay, fine, now we are entering into this phase. I mean, in this phase, that's not the time to be on the long side of stock. Get out of the stocks. There will be opportunities within the bear market, but as I said, that it's not a prediction, but our assessment of the market is that the bear market the bull market probably will last for another 12 years before we will have another bear market. Now, since I did not have enough time here, so I'm still working on this, aim to launch it for the Muslim customer because it's adhered to the principles I talked about. And then it will take at least 2 to 3 months for the launch, because I'm working on this currently, the website, business setup, and the legal tax requirements. There are quite a few legal loopholes. We have to cover those. At this point, we have, I think, just 4 minutes left. I'm sorry about that. It took a long time. So any questions you can open up, or then you can type, and then we can have another meeting just after that. Like Shahid said, maybe we can do that. So guys, feel free. We're just friends here.
So Sabri, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there are 8,000 approximately companies, stocks registered in New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ.
Right.
So how do you determine the growth stock among them? Because that's a big search, or
Yeah, this is what that proprietary trend founding this trend. This is why I call it trend recognition. So every day I have maybe sometime 100, maybe sometime 10, maybe sometime 5, or maybe sometime none, depending upon where the market, what kind of market. Then we have that system which I have developed. Because of the time, I could not show you the whole thing. Then we filter out those results and only stick with those stocks which shows trend, reactions, and this particular thing. Leader in its industry, and the industry should be an outperformer. So at the end of the day, sometimes we come with 2 or 3 out of those hundreds, or maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe 5, and sometimes none. And that's the job. If you want to have your customers and want to advise them, then that's the job you need to do. Okay? Because that's a proprietary system, trend identification system. That's why I call it trend recognition strategy.
So, okay, if we select one growth stock, how do we determine the base and the resistance? Because once it is out of the resistance from the base, it will go up.
Like this?
In my knowledge,
this is VIPs. This is VIPs. This is a base. It went up. There are certain indicators. The 3 lines here showing here. There's a Bollinger Band. These are all technical indicators. You have to understand the technicality, the volume, and the. But like I said, everything, especially the chart, they have a language of their own. You have to invest in your time. So there are 2 options you have. And I mean, either you learn everything the hard way and you spend years and lost, or you rely upon some expert advice. Like I said, this is the point when we identify that, okay, this stock has ended its run abruptly. This is highly abrupt behavior, normal. And for the 6 months, it's a very consistent appreciation, as you said. So it's only 1 minute left. You want, 1 second, only 1 minute left. So after we drop out, should I send you another one?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we got a message that the meeting time has been extended.
No, this particular meeting is not extended. This particular meeting is not extended. I think I can send you another link for 40 minutes. Because otherwise, Shai, have you sent a link? Shai, are you there? Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
The
Sabri.
meeting has been extended. I'm not sure. Can you see my
think-
screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Wonderful. We have 40 minutes. So if the meeting ends, Shai has sent another link, and I can send you the entire thing to you. And then okay, so let's continue with our
Oh.
chatting or the questions as long as we have. Yeah, go ahead, please.
So Sabri, if we consider the moving average, for how many days we should consider, 100 days or 200 days?
On this particular chart, look, no one particular average is perfect. No one particular. No, in other words, there is no such thing as holy grail.
I
That's
see.
why you need to understand that when one moving average is good, when is not. And even then, when you have everything lined up, stock can give you surprises because you don't know what is going to happen next tomorrow. It's only Allah Ta'ala knows. For example, you have everything lined up here. You have a stock doing wonderfully well. But what happens that there is, God forbid, there's a war between India and Pakistan, nuclear war tomorrow. So what do you think what would happen to stock market?
Yeah.
I mean, no wonder these looking perfect and wonderful, the moving average indicator. But does it really know that what's going to happen tomorrow? Nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you need to understand when the moving averages are working and when they are not. And you should always be ready for surprises. That's the part of the game. And that's known as expectancy. That why talk about this risk management? That 7 to 8% never let the stock which has a 10 to 15% go back and turn into loss, because it will happen. But if you continue to hope that, oh no, it will come back, so let's hope, then one fine day you will incur a huge loss. To avoid that, we have these strict rules. Never take any position, a loss on any position beyond 8%. Target that this is minimum risk to reward ratio, and never allow a stock with the 10 to 15% profit to turn and go back and give you loss. Okay, so there is no one right answer. That's why it's more art than science. If it had been just a one particular moving average, then it would have been a science, and then it's it. That's it. But like I said, we use more than 20 factors. These 8 are given here, and there are many more, including. And then and every day, and that's why I particularly in my portfolio have very limited number of stocks, because how many you can assess in one particular day? 10, 15, 20, 100, 2000, very few. So that's why you need to live only with top performing stocks in leading industries. In other words, leading stocks in leading industries. And how would you do that? Just like in this particular, I told you that, okay, this up on the face of it, this industry looks good. But if you see at the bottom charts, it's showing you downward trends. Those are against the broader market and against the other, against the broader sector. So you need to look into all of these if you want to be profitable in the long run. Okay.
We should choose first the industry sector.
Leading
Technology or
stocks
commodity.
in leading industries. That's it.
Leading stocks. Okay. Leading stocks and then leading industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you look at the actual company fundamentals as to what products they've got and how what's
One
their
second.
market?
One second. Nadeem Mohsin Charlie is saying that I need to unmute everyone. I'm sorry. Do I need to do it? One second.
Also, Amir Aziz muted, so he is also.
No, do I need to unmute everyone? How do I do?
Yes, administration. I think.
But I have not unmuted. I have not muted everyone. One second. Let me see from where the setting is.
Okay, now you unmuted us.
No, not everyone. Let me do it one way. I'm Nadeem Mohsin is probably struggling. He's raised his
Amir
hand.
can speak now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's
Give me a
unmute
second.
for
Give me a
everyone.
second.
Yeah.
Let me unmute. Unmute. I have unmuted Nadeem Bhai. I have unmuted. Is someone mute? Unmute.
Yeah,
I have
thank
to
you,
do one
Sandeep.
by one. I have to do one by one.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
So let me do one by one. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
I'm good.
Yeah. We were trying to get
So
your
there are only
attention.
12 participants, so not a big deal. I can
Okay.
do it one by one. Give me a second.
So
So
everybody
Mohsin
should be muted, and when they talk, then unmute. That's all.
Okay. I have unmuted almost everyone. I'm Nadeem Mohsin. You can unmute yourself, Nadeem bhai.
Yes, I can do it.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
good. Everybody is good now.
Already is good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Try.
Arshad is indicating.
Arshad.
is indicating.
Arshad. Mohammed Arshad.
Yeah.
Let Arshad mute it. Sorry. Just joking with me. Arshad, are you unmuted? Yes, you're good. Okay. GG.
Okay.
Okay, please go ahead. One by one, who can answer.
Okay.
Yes.
Amir is here. Thanks,
Yeah.
Sabri. It's very informative. My question to you is this monitoring tool that you're talking about, is that your own developed algorithm that you have, or is it off the shelf? I think Kamran asking the same question. Or
Kamran? Is Kamran there?
Yeah, It's Kamran. Aftab.
Aftab.
Oh, sorry, Aftab. Sorry.
Kamran Aftab. No, Aftab
Okay.
Haider. Aftab Haider.
Haider.
Yeah,
Okay.
nice to have you, Aftab, from England.
So,
It's my own, and
okay.
I am not a scientist or developer, but over a period of time, I have developed this strategy. The strategy is my own. And let me show you something. Okay, let me. This is a flow chart I have developed.
Can we buy it with you, or what's your, I think we need
Actually, like I said, within 2 or 3 months, inshallah, I will have. I've already worked a lot on this.
Okay.
But unfortunately, because of my health issues and other things, I've probably digressed. Now I'm thinking of focusing 100% on more, and kind of a thing like that. I will have this on a daily basis. And give me a second. Then I will stop. Let me stop sharing for a second, and then I will share this, search this document. So regarding the thing, I will have a website, okay, and I will have it for the Muslim community. The reason being this is adhering to those principles, right? Which I talk about. You're not investing in bank stock, we're not investing in gambling stock, and hard to explain it to the insurance stocks, hard to explain it to non-Muslim that why we're not investing there. They're halal, not many people will come.
And why don't I have a saving account, something like that? Is hard to explain. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, they will question and they say, okay, some of them will just go away, say that we don't want this thing because of, the factors, but we don't want that. So my brother, actually, he's very much active in Virginia and Muslim circles. He is actually using this strategy, as I said. So he was very lucky to get into this MTEX and gain some, which gave it 3 months, 772 positions. So 772% return. So one second, let me pull up this flow chart. Since you asked this, so this is a flow chart. Let me share it for the time being. Can you see it now?
No.
No, I think
Yeah,
you
No, we can say.
Yeah, so this is the strategy algorithm that I had developed, and it has using all those indicators and the parameters and technical, and that's how the selection and analysis process goes. And it is supposed to go to be done every day for all those new stock which has shown a trend signal. To start with the trend, and then finally it understood. This is how the system works. Okay, so to answer your question, this is my own personal algorithm and personal system, but it is based on those indicators and the trend analysis system softwares. Now, what are the points that we want to? Now, honestly, I need to have a business on that. So for the customers, what should we be targeting? In other words, it's basically there are only two things that we want: market beating returns while adhering to certain principles. So market beating return, as you see in last 3 or 4 months, you see it's already producing market beating returns, correct?
Mhm.
We don't know because we are not into the shorting business. We're not shorting stocks. We are not in those stocks which like bank stocks. Currently the bank stocks are doing very well. Technology stocks were not doing very well. So what should we do? So it has still a lot of testing to be done, ongoing testing, I would say. But apart from that, so far the results, alhamdulillah, are fine. What I'm planning to do is to launch a website where the customers can subscribe to this. They will get daily signals that, okay, these are the new trends and these are the existing positions. And then to the customer, we say, okay, this particular stock, that's it, their 3 stock is coming out of this place. And we believe this will go high. And then we will advise, okay, now it's time to take partial profits and something like this happen, or move your stop losses along the way so that protect your profits. And at this particular time, okay, fine, something has gone wrong. You have to take immediate action. So that's what the service will be. And but eventually it will take some time because there are legal and tax issues. And the legal issues is that if you don't have, you're not a registered financial advisor, up to what extent you can advise. And believe me, there are many websites which charge you anywhere from $80 per month to $600 or $400 per month for this kind of service. But so far, my research tells me there's none, not even one service for Muslim community in US
Good.
and Canada and
So you
anywhere
will
else, Europe, England.
So you will be the first.
I'm not saying I'm first because there are some companies which give you, if you put up a stock, they say it's a halal investment or not. I think one is known as Zoya, ZOYA.
Yeah, I think Amana is also. Am I right?
Amana is a mutual fund.
Yeah, mutual fund, right?
Yeah. So they take your money and they invest into based on their own study. Now,
So Sabri,
again,
you're saying, sorry, you're
let me
saying
complete
that
this sentence and come back to you, Masood. Give me a second. Sorry about that. So ours, I won't claim that it's a halal certification. It's a halal thing. Why? Because then we have to go somebody out there and get a certification from Mufti board or other. But I would say that this is adhering to these principles. So if you like these principles, then it's the way to go. Sorry, Masood bhai. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that it means that swing trading would be probably the best strategy in your opinion to make some money in stocks.
Okay. On the very first slide, I said swing trading, 1 days to few weeks. Now
Yeah.
I have I personally have a long-term strategy as well.
Okay.
On those long-term strategies, I do not follow this 7 or 8% rule or other things. Those are the stocks and I believe I have conviction that in the long run, inshallah, they will continue to go. Although in the short run, they might have some blips here and there. So this is more like a swing trading strategy. It's not day trading that you buy and you sell in the same day. No, it can go from 1 day to few weeks to few months. But generally, since the objective is to make some money quickly, like this here, 10 to 15% initially, and then 20 to 24% for the whole position to maintain a 3-to-1 reward risk ratio. This one, then generally it's a swing trading strategy. Okay.
So you need more
Sabri,
capital. It means
okay.
your portfolio should be large enough
Say again,
compared to the day trading.
portfolio will be
Large enough because you need more capital for swing trading compared to day trading.
no.
Not necessarily. Sabri,
Okay.
I have a question between the day
Can
trading
you
and
let
a
me,
swing.
Masood, 1 second. Let me answer
Okay.
Masood bhai first, and then I'll come back to you. No, Masood bhai, reason being you can have very small capital. I like I said, I had just only how much average capital in
23,000.
23,000 average, maximum was $37,000. So if in 3 months, if you make 55% of 23, that is $12,000. Now, if you multiply it 4 times, that's $100,000. Then you probably would have earned $44,000 in 3 months or 4 months. Okay, it depends upon how much capital you have, and I strongly suggest that you use your own saving, not the margin amount. In other words, on which you have to pay interest. Okay. Sorry, Masood Hassan.
Yeah, so Sabri, thanks for this presentation first, but I know you were doing this for a long period of time. So the question is, and I know 401k is not your area kind of a thing, but as you're on your presentation, like 401k based on this index fund or the growth fund, they give you 10 to 15% return basically. But the question is like, if you want to make a good return on a day trading, and I will give you an example of a GameStop that's beat all the record basically, but you think that's more like a gambling trade basically?
But you have to define what is gambling. Different people have different definition. To me, gambling is something, if someone say that, hey, this one is going up. Oh, so you just put your money. Okay, fine. Let's put this money. You don't know ABC, you don't want to invest that business. Here we want to have a portion of that business. Companies which are beating market return, companies which are showing growth. And as long as they are giving us good return, we will keep them. Simple as that. In the case of the GameStop, the fundamentals were not there. The company is still not making any money. The company is struggling. The company was trading something like $5 and it went all the way to highest $484. So why did it go there? Any idea? Just because people are chasing each other. So the thing about that guy that who bought something around $400 or $500 when it was at the highest, and at the very next day or in the same day it dropped by 30%. See, that's gambling. That because some people made a lot of money and some people who were just not have but good lucky, they did not understand the whole scenario and the process, they lost a lot of money. But since the people don't always look for the winners and they don't see what happened, because the money is not growing on trees. So according to this strategy, I will never ever invest in a stock like GameStop. Why? Our risk management rules are very strict. This particular slide, 7 to 8%, no loss beyond 8%. Very strict rule. And in fact, my average loss is 6 to 7% only, not beyond that. Somebody asked me for some help. I gave him, and then one day he called me from Canada. He said, "What are your average loss?" I said, "I told you probably 7." So he said, "I have positions which are more than 30% loss. Should I sell them?" I said, the logic here is if a stock drops by it and give you 20%, 25% loss, and if you're still holding that stock with you in anticipation or in hope that it will come back, you know how much the stock has to move off from that point for to be even. For a 50% loss, it will has to go up to 200%, something like that. There's a table I can show it to you. I don't have it ready with me. In other words, stock will have to move 100%, 200% to be at par. So coming back to your question, Masood, something like GameStop, if fundamentals are not there, people are just playing and chasing each other. Okay, fine. You want to invest in GameStop? Go ahead, do that. Do you understand the chart? Okay, fine. Why the GameStop? Why the stock is moving like this and why moving what is? No, you don't understand. Fine, you're just chasing other way. There's a hype in the market. To me, that is gambling. So we will never ever, according to this stock, invest in something like a GameStop because we are not there to lose our entire money. 50% or 40% is still in hope they will come back. No, we are very strict about our 7 to 8% rule. When I say we, I mean myself, my brother, and a few more people very close who I give sometime advice unofficially because I'm not authorized registered user. It's just my family term. But once we launch this kind of a business, then on the website you'll find previous record, prior history of and advise that decision is yours. I mean, yours being customers, because
Yes.
they have the control of their account. They have when they want to sell it, when they want to buy it. So we won't take responsibility for that. But this is kind of an advisory service that we would like to launch. Okay.
Yeah. So that service will going to help us because that software.
Obviously. Now coming back to your 401k, there is a provision in 401k that you can manage your money yourself. Am I right?
Yes.
I don't have 401k right now, so I don't know it, but I know it for sure. So you can always go back and tell your company and that, okay, in the 401k, I don't want to leave the money with this fund manager XYZ. In fact, I want to manage my own money. And how would you manage it? Okay, fine. If you subscribe to this kind of service, there are still service out there, then you can manage your own money. That's why this strategy is for people. This strategy is for people who are actively managing their portfolios. If you don't have time, you have a full-time job, you're happy with that, I'm making good money, then why would you do that? But this strategy will have some weekly signals as well, right? Not just a daily. So what you can do, you can still take the signals from here on a once in a week or maybe twice in a week. You go back whenever you have time through your phone, take some trades, and that's it. But you have to manage it yourself, actively manage it yourself. Whoever the customer, you mean customer, right? Hope I have answered your question. Any other question?
Yes. So the only other question
yes,
do you think that you have your services available like in 5-6 months? Like
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Actually, I should have been because I have worked. You see, this was in anticipation that I have to hire people and give them this method and system. This is very confidential thing, that entire flow chart, how the system is working. So that's why I developed that thing. Yes, sir. Who is next?
Yeah, Masood. So there are a lot of, the stock service provider always recommending when the stocks go down to sell it, and when it is going up to buy it. For example, Apple just recently, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, it was 119 or 120, right? And all the, on the website like bar chart and other companies and advisors are advising to sell it or hold it, not to buy. And then now it is 133. So it is just reverse. If I would have bought 120, right now it's 133. So I would be having in money. So that's a totally reverse. I'm confused that why they're saying that sell it.
Who's selling just telling you to sell the Apple?
Lot like there are a lot of companies, those who are giving the advice like trading views, bar chart.
Masood, ऐसा होता है.
Vector based.
Every system or every method has their own way of working. Okay, some have long-term horizon, some have short-term horizon. It depends upon you. Now, तुम्हारा long-term horizon है या short-term? Number one, long-term का मतलब ये है कि don't care कि 1 month में क्या हो रहा है, 3 month में क्या हो रहा है, या 6 month में क्या हो रहा है. You're there for years. For that perspective, Apple is an excellent buy. Short-term में ये है जैसे swing trade. Okay, if you buy, you don't want to incur more than 8% loss. 8% loss, you will be out. This is basically a short-term strategy because it is more like an income-generating strategy rather than a long-term strategy. But as I have put in my portfolio long-term stocks as well, which I don't care if they go down on 10%. I have obviously a threshold. So it depends upon different people. Everyone has his own strategy.
For the good companies, if the stock price is undervalued compared to the stock market value, then we should buy it. But it is a reverse case in Tesla. Tesla is highly overvalued. But
this is what you think. No. Look, Masood. In a stock market, there are always two opinions. Some people say, look. For example, you're buying Tesla. There are some people who will be selling Tesla. That's why you are able to buy it. Fine. Some people say it's the right price to sell Tesla because it's overvalued. Some people will think, no, it's the right price to buy because it's undervalued. And that's why there is a market. See? So there's no right or wrong answer. It depends upon your analysis, your strategy, how much profit you want to make, how long is the horizon, so many factors. Now, I have seen some hands raised here. Amir Aziz or Aftab. Should I switch to them, Masood? We can have.
Yeah, sure.
Amir, are you?
I already asked one. Let's ask Shahid Bhai or anyone else.
Aftab Haider has a raised hand.
Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to first thank you for a very good presentation. My question was that do you also look at company fundamentals, like their PE ratios, PB ratios,
Okay,
what
very good
products
question.
actually they
Very
have,
good question.
and how are their products selling in the market, and what margins they are selling it at?
Great question, Arthur. I would say being a short-term strategy is 70-30. 70% technical action, things like these moving averages and these stocks, and 30% fundamentals. For the long term, we always look into the long term for the fundamental. From the long fundamental perspective, like this question was about Mosul Bhai for our Apple, so its fundamentals are great. So it will have, inshallah, long-term growth. So that's a long-term strategy. But by very nature, this particular strategy, TR strategy, as you say, it's a swing trading. It depends upon, it looks for the trends, and the trends should be very short term. Like, so for this particular strategy, this is a swing trading lasting from 1 day to few weeks. So it's not a long-term strategy. So if you're talking about in particular about the swing trading strategy, it's a short-term strategy. It's just more inclined towards short-term methods, which are, short-term parameters, which are 70% compared to 30%. But we look into things like earnings, as I said somewhere here, see these factors, earnings, and some other accumulation. These are fundamentals, that what kind of earning it is generating. Is it giving you surprises? It is a consistent earning appreciation. Its earning is growing in line with market's expectation or beating those expectations. And whether earning is beating, what about the revenues? Other revenues are also, is just, what about the future guidance? For example, it beat the earning, but it says, okay, in future, we don't see the next particular future, and the future, and the quarter, next particular quarter, and the quarter afterward will be as good as this one. Those are fundamentals aspects. Okay, after?
Please.
I just got one more.
One second. Who is on mute?
I think they're asking for unmute. Wasim.
Let me see, I'm sorry about that. I don't know how to unmute everyone in one go. I couldn't find
That's why you should give the host to Arshad.
I can give it to Arshad, no problem. Arshad, can you unmute everyone?
No, you have to assign him as a.
Is he still there? Let me see. Arshad here.
I don't see anyone is unmuted.
Arshad is saying no. He's also muted.
Okay.
Wasim is muted.
Let me see who's unmuted. Okay.
Nadine, are you unmute yourself or you got muted again?
Wasim, I have unmuted you. Asked to unmute. How do you unmute everyone?
Okay, go. Sabri,
unmuted.
Charlie had question earlier too. I know.
Unable to unmute up till now.
Go to the left on a green bar.
One second. Okay. Wasim, are you unmute now?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Now you want to have any question?
So Aftab, go ahead now. Aftab.
Oh, I have many questions, but let you unmute others so if they have anything, because it's
Charlie's
saying that some people were able to talk and the rest were muted and they can't unmute. That was crazy.
I'm sorry about that. Actually, I'm struggling with this, and I think next time I will give the control to Arshad.
Arshad is still muted, I guess. And
no, Arshad is unmuted now.
No, I think he's saying is now he's unmuted.
जी unmute हो गया हूँ मैं.
Finally, okay.
अब आजाद हो गए.
आजाद हो गए.
Sorry, I'm trying to unmute everyone. I don't know. Did it earlier on?
No.
Muzaffar bhi kab se hai? I don't know. Is he unmuted or he muted himself? I don't know. Does he have a question?
Send me a message who want to unmute. I don't know.
मसूद भी इस वक्त unmute.
मुजफ्फर आप unmute हो सकते हो या खुद किया हो आपने? अच्छा, you're fine now.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Now I have allowed participants to unmute themselves.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Okay, now people, you can guys, you can unmute yourself.
The best way to do is just raise your hand. Let's say everyone lower the hand first and then start raising hand. That way properly then.
Now I have allowed the participants to unmute themselves.
Okay.
And I have asked everyone to unmute them. Okay.
Yeah, we're good now.
Good now. So what's the next? Any question?
Yeah, Aftab has a question.
Okay, I just wanted to ask one more question. Does this actually only look at the U.S. stock market, or a proportion of the or certain section of the U.S. stock market, or does it look at UK and other international markets as well?
Good question, Aftab. It does look at European stock as well. No, but not very many. The European stocks only those established companies like pharmaceutical companies, biotech companies, oil companies, but not many companies. So it does look at European company, it does look at Canadian company, it does look at US market companies. The vast majority will belong to the US. Okay.
What about Asian, Hong Kong and all that? No.
Chinese company which are traded in the US.
Okay. All right.
Since it's a closed group, I can share no Indian company, no Israeli company, but officially I cannot say that. Okay.
Okay.
Any further question?
What's wrong with Indian company? Pakistan can do trading.
It's being recorded, so I cannot answer it. I can answer you personally on that. Anyway. After Sheikh, anyone? I have unmuted all. Allow them to unmute them, right? So you can unmute you and you can ask. Go ahead.
Well, Wasim have got a question.
Yes, Sabri. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikum. Who's this?
Ahmed Nadeem Mohsin.
जी मोहसिन भाई यार आपको मैं मोहसिन कहूँ चार्ली मैं कहना नहीं चाहता क्या बोलो
यार कह ले यार मैं तो मेरे
अब आप बुजुर्ग लगने लगे ना तो आपको चार्ली कितना अच्छा नहीं लगता
मेरे यार चार्ली कहने में यंग लगता मुझे तो
हैं
If I call him Charlie I think of his old picture so that's okay.
Okay. नहीं यार वो मैंने इनको वैसे भी वहाँ भी कभी एहतरामन चार्ली नहीं कहा एलईडी में चलें जी
अच्छा so first of all thank you very much बहुत you have done a remarkable job and it was pleasure to know that you are working on the launching a product related to that. Acha, I'm the latest entry in this field, and I will throw just a layman question. Just looking at your presentation and knowing your point of view, I have a very basic layman question. Like, since I've gone through searching on the internet about these stocks and investment in the stocks, now I've been haunted by some advertisement whenever I go to the Facebook or YouTube or whatever. So the Amazon is very hot. They always ask to invest in the Amazon. So is this something that you prefer to do, that sort of investment?
No, one second. Are you talking about a particular company? Amazon, just Amazon?
Not the particular company. Basically, I'm talking about the procedure that you are preferring to, that buy long-term shares of some particular company or something like this. I mean, irrespective of how lucrative it would be.
दो बातें आ गई इसमें. Okay, one particular company, to me, every stock is a bad stock. Every company is a bad, not a company. Every stock is a bad. Why? Unless it goes up in the price. यानी ये कहते हैं ना हमारे यहाँ एक साहब थे कि जैसे मैंने पाकिस्तान में बहुत नुकसान उठाया वो बिजनेस प्लस में आते थे और पाकिस्तान मार्केट में हर एक को ये कंपनी बहुत अच्छी है इसमें इन्वेस्ट कर दो ये कंपनी बहुत अच्छी इन्वेस्ट कर दो ये कंपनी बहुत अच्छी इन्वेस्ट कर दो इधर उन्होंने कहा वो पाकिस्तान इंटरनेशनल क्या नाम है उसका बट टर्मिनल लग रहा है PIBT ये 200 साल तक प्रॉफिट देगा इसमें कर दो ओके भाई हमने उनकी हमें इतना हमने कहा यार पाकिस्तानी एक्सपर्ट है ये करते होंगे 200 साल के चक्कर में हमने जनाब वाली उसमें इन्वेस्ट कर दिया तो पिछले 5 साल के बाद भी आज उसकी वैल्यू 70% डाउन है दिस इज माय ओन अकाउंट 70% डाउन है इन्हें अगर 100 रुपए पहले थे तो आज 30 रुपए की वैल्यू है और 200 साल का जहां से लेके उन्होंने कहा यार ये तो बहुत जबरदस्त है अब अगर वो साहब तो गायब हो गया बिजनेस प्लस ही बंद हो गया मैं आपको पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस बता रहा हूं
हाँ
मैं बहुत पैसा वांच चीज होगा
basically let me rephrase it that few years back like in 1999-98 I did some forex trading because there are lots of forex houses in Lahore also.
Achha.
And whenever I asked anybody there, they had a sad story because people lost there. So this probably could be because of the manipulated.
नहीं लोग जो है ना वो असल में वो मार्केट को समझते नहीं है बहुत देखिए प्रोफेशनल क्या कर रहे हैं जो बैठे हुए हैं बैंकों में और मार्केट मेकर्स और इधर उन्होंने PhDs की हुई है इसमें उनके पास 25-30 साल का देखें एक इंजीनियर है वो 30 साल से काम कर रहा है किसी पर्टिकुलर फील्ड में एक्सपर्ट है लाइक आमिर रजीज अपनी पर्टिकुलर फील्ड में एक्सपर्ट है सब है जो आप माशाल्लाह काम कर रहे हैं सब है मैं किसी को जो काम करता हूँ अब एक नया बंदा आ जाता है कहता है कि यार मैं बस कॉपी कर लेता हूँ यूं कर लेता हूँ डू यू थिंक ही कैन बीट दैट आमिर रजीज और टू गिव एन एग्जांपल समबडी इन हिज ओन फील्ड ऑफ कोर्स नॉट तो होगा क्या यहाँ तो ये है कि ये तो पैसे का गेम है जो प्रोफेशनल है उसने आपकी जेब से पैसे निकलवा लेने सीधी सी बात है क्योंकि ऐसा तो नहीं है कि दरख्त से पैसे आ रहे हैं आहिस्ता आहिस्ता ही कंपनी ग्रो करेगी आहिस्ता आहिस्ता ही करेगी ना तो मार्केट में वैल्यू बढ़ेगी तो इसलिए टिप्स पे या कोई बोल दे ये खरीद लो वो खरीद लो ना कभी नहीं लीजिएगा नंबर 1 you have to have some kind of good sort can you say established analysis some kind of algorithm system जिस सिस्टम से आपको तो ये जो मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ ना कि इसमें सिस्टम से 100% खुद भी सेटिस्फाई नहीं हूँ अक्सर जो हमारे ट्रेंड की सिग्नल आते हैं उनमें से 3 या 4 गलत होते हैं 1 या 2 कामयाब हो जाते हैं थिंग इज दैट अगर वो 1 या 2 में से कोई ऐसा मिल जाए आपको जैसे ये वाले थे सारे ट्रेंड देखिए एवरीवन इज शोइंग ए ट्रेंड ठीक है ना? अब आपको डिसाइड करना है कौन सा अच्छा है कौन सा नहीं. So Amazon भी है कहीं, आपका क्वेश्चन में Amazon इज ग्रीन वन, और जो आपको इस ट्रेंड को बीट करे, ये वो आर्ट है जो कि इतनी आसानी से नहीं आता. दैट्स व्हाई द सर्विस होगी तो उसके जो हम लॉन्च करना चाह रहे हैं. कमिंग बैक टू योर Amazon क्वेश्चन, आप Amazon में इन्वेस्ट करना चाह रहे हैं, ये सवाल था आपका?
नहीं, मेरा सवाल ये था कि इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ द फैक्ट कि कितना लुक्रेटिव हो क्या होगा, आई वाज जस्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट द प्रोसीजर, क्योंकि आप कुछ कहते हैं कि वो शॉर्ट टर्म वाले उसमें नहीं करना चाहिए, लॉन्ग टर्म में या फिजिकली आपका शेयर्स होने चाहिए, कुछ तरह की चीज, क्योंकि
नहीं, मैं ये कह रहा था कि ये स्ट्रेटेजी जो मैं आपको ट्रेंड टीआर बता रहा हूँ, ये शॉर्ट टर्म स्ट्रेटेजी है. मैं तो कह रहा हूँ ये शॉर्ट टर्म है, ये लॉन्ग टर्म नहीं है. क्योंकि इसका ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है, ये रहा 1 day to 4 weeks, दैट्स ऑल. तो इट्स अ शॉर्ट टर्म स्ट्रेटेजी. इसके अलावा मेरे पास अपनी जाती मेरे पास लॉन्ग टर्म है कुछ स्टॉक्स जिनमें है कन्वेशन, लेकिन मुझे पता है कि चंद दिन में उतना रिटर्न नहीं देंगे. ठीक है, Amazon is among one of those.
Can I add a comment here, just to help Nadeem also? I think it's applicable to most of us. I think what happened is, I think a lot of us have are busy with our job and life, and I believe in personally, if you're earning money, you should be able to be responsible about your finances and taxes and all those type of things. So it depends on your threshold, how much threshold you have. For mere हिसाब से currently, I mean, I'm not, I don't have time to invest and research. So what I do right now, everything is on mutual funds, you know. But at some point, we all are going to retire and, you know, do something. Question is, what I'll do is probably whatever I have portfolio. Let's say I decided $50,000 I can use in short-term strategy, like Sabri is saying, and that's the one. If अगर आपको आधा नुकसान भी हो गया, that you can survive. And long-term के लिए आपको you have to decide on some safe passes like mutual funds or S&P, those type of, you know, just to, you know, you are pacing with the market, you know, returns not going to be that impressive, but at least you're going to be with the market. That will be my suggestion and approach. But as far as the short term, that's the thing we all miss. Like my question going to be another one is for crypto. And now everyone is talking about crypto. I have no knowledge. Are you going to consider that or not, Sabri, part of your strategy? I'm not sure. So what are the upcoming short-term strategy or stock that we need to invest in? If this tool provide us that information, I think it's great. I think
that's all this service is all about.
Yep.
Because when you have a daily समझेंगे ईमेल होगी या डेली आपका वेबसाइट होगी, आप जाके देख सकते हैं कि आज के क्या सिग्नल है. देखिए सिग्नल आएंगे हंड्रेड्स. हमारा काम ये होगा कि जो हम दिन भर करेंगे उन सिग्नल को फिल्टर आउट करके उन स्टॉक्स में से बहुत कम स्टॉक को लेंगे जो हम समझते हैं कि 2 या 3 या 4 कि ये आगे जाके हमारी अच्छा रिटर्न देंगे. रिस्की नहीं है, इनकी इंडस्ट्री लीडिंग है, स्टॉक लीडिंग है, इंडस्ट्री लीडिंग है, सेक्टर लीडिंग है. They're coming out of a proper base, they're coming out of a and they are at a buy point. Like this particular stock, Vips. इसको देख लीजिए, मैं इसकी सेलेक्ट वापस लगाई है. Should we buy it right here at 45? कोई कहेगा यार ये तो बहुत अच्छा जा रहा है, तो बहुत हो जाएगा. मेरा अंदाजा था ये 60 तक चला जाएगा. ठीक है. One day everything's changed. So where is the buy point? तो मैंने दो एरो लगाया ना. These are the buy point. So we only buy at the proper base coming out at the buy point. तो ये सिग्नल होंगे to answer your question. Number 1. Number 2, your crypto, definitely crypto you cannot ignore. And my own assessment, as I probably shared with you, the crypto eventually will go, especially the Bitcoin, go to $100,000.
Wow.
कब जाएगा मुझे नहीं पता, तो अल्लाह को पता है, लेकिन जाएगा ये. देखिए आप देखें आज ने नया हाई कल फिर बनाया है. I think it's more than 61,000, then it pulled back something around $59,000. लेकिन चूंकि इसके लिए बहुत ज्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट चाहिए और बहुत ज्यादा वो चाहिए, तो ये फिलहाल यहाँ नहीं होगा. लेकिन there might be some ETFs which will be 100% trading. Fidelity कोशिश कर रहा है, उसको परमिशन मिल जाए. Fidelity is again a big name. मैं आपसे बात करता हूँ प्रोफेशनल, तो Fidelity is a professional. So what they will do, they will replicate the performance of crypto. So instead of investing so much money in one Bitcoin or half Bitcoin, you can buy those ETFs. Like जो GBTC है, कमरान अफ्ताब ने बताया था, उसने लिया था. Those things. Again, आपका perspective कितना है? Now, this particular strategy will not be suitable for that. Why? Because cryptos की जो movement है is highly volatile. In one particular day, it can go 10% each way, 15% each way. तो आपका तो टारगेट ही 8% या 6% से लॉस किसी को होने नहीं देना है. हमारा टारगेट यही है ना. That's what our target is. कि हम लॉस को कभी बढ़ने नहीं देंगे more than 7 to 8%. हमारा average loss is between 6 to 7%. और गेन को हम as long as we can enjoy the gain, as long as आप जा रहा है जाने दें. जैसे इस वाले ने एक सेकंड, इस वाले ने 772% गेन दिया. This one stock will cover everything else for the whole full year. Sorry, what was the question? Who was next?
आपने कहा था ना यार कि 15% पे निकल आओ.
No.
You said 25% as our target.
देखिए स्ट्रेटजी बहुत सारी 10 to 15% पे मैंने कहा था अगर लॉस, अगर आप 15% प्रॉफिट है तो वो लॉस नहीं देना चाहिए उसको. अगर वो जीरो की तरफ आ रहा है तो आप निकल जाएंगे उससे. This is one of the principles.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
That is something different. मैंने कहा था 10 to 15% पे हम पार्शियल लेते हैं. पार्शियल का मैंने जिक्र किया था इस पे. It is this one, ये रहा. Take first partial at 10 to 15%. Ideally, profit should be 20 to 25. But
Okay,
there is an 8-week rule. You see, there's an 8-week rule.
Okay.
And that rule is that if stock is showing this great action, then instead of going out, we will hold it for the long haul or maximize profits. Okay.
Wasim has his hand raised for a long time. Wasim,
one second, sorry about that. क्या Wasim mute नहीं हो पा रहा है? मैंने सबको allow कर दिया कि they can unmute themselves.
मैं unmute हूँ. मैं वेट कर रहा था कि बारी आ जाए तो बात करें.
हाँ, मसूद ने भी शायद किया. हाँ, बोले. जोर से बोला था, आवाज थोड़ी कम है वसीम आपकी.
आपका बहुत शुक्रिया, बड़ी अच्छी प्रेजेंटेशन रही. और let me wear my headphones. हाँ, तो मैं यही कह रहा था कि बहुत जबरदस्त प्रेजेंटेशन रही, माशाल्लाह बहुत अच्छा रहा. इसमें एक क्वेश्चन मेरा सिर्फ ये है कि ये जो सेक्टर रोटेशन है, सेक्टर रोटेशन को भी आपके पास आइडेंटिफाई करता है ये सिस्टम?
जी बिल्कुल. ये देखें, हमारा सिस्टम ये देखें नीचे सेक्टर का बता रहा है कि सेक्टर जो है वो versus as broader market is just 1.46% up है last 6 months. So we know that this particular sector, which is technology sector, for last 6 months is not doing well. Fine. In fact, in this particular period, it was going down. Industry is going down, sector is going down. So that's not the right time to be in the stocks in this particular area. So हम sectors को definitely देखते हैं, sector को भी definitely देखते हैं, और industries को भी देखते हैं. उसके बाद किसी स्टॉक पे फैसला होता है. तो ट्रेंड स्टॉक का शो हो रहा है, फॉर एग्जांपल किसी स्टॉक का ट्रेंड शो हो रहा होगा. What do we want to consider it? Because we understand कि यार इसका इंडस्ट्री भी डाउन जा रही है, सेक्टर भी डाउन जा रहा है, तो why should we take extra chances? The trend could be a very temporary phase. Okay?
दूसरा एक क्वेश्चन ये है, जैसे आपने वो मोटे रूल्स हलाल और हराम के सिचुएशन से बताए हैं, तो आई एग्री 100% की ये सब तो ठीक है, मगर आपने एक चीज कही कि वीजा नहीं, तो वीजा स्टॉक तो डाउ जोन्स के इस्लामिक इंडेक्स में मैंने देखा है.
That's
so
why
how
I
are
make.
they coming up with that?
I don't know Dow Jones का जो इस्लामिक इंडेक्स है ना, वो कौन बनाता है? I don't know. उसका बोर्ड कौन है वो ये भी नहीं पता. ये यूएस में नहीं है, वो कोई बहरीन बेस्ड बोर्ड है. नंबर 2, वीजा के आप उसमें जाए, वीजा क्या करता है? वीजा के अपने क्रेडिट कार्ड है और उस क्रेडिट कार्ड पे वो इंटरेस्ट चार्ज करता है. ठीक है,
उन्होंने तो कहा है कि नहीं करता है, वो सिर्फ जो है फीस लेता है और बैंक
वीजा का अपने क्रेडिट कार्ड है. वीजा के अपने क्रेडिट कार्ड.
अच्छा, पता नहीं था ये कैसे डाला, यही मैं कह रहा हूँ. और
वो उनसे पूछना पड़ेगा. लेकिन देखिए इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ कि वी नॉट गोइंग टू वेरी मच डिटेल्स.
बोइंग हराम है कह रहे हैं, तो बोइंग कैसे हराम है?
बोइंग हराम हो गया, वीजा लाल हो गया. बोइंग जो कि अच्छा इसी तरह जो है इस चक्कर में पड़ गया ना आप उनके, मतलब सॉरी कहना नहीं चाहिए, तो आप बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगी. इसलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ कि शुड मीट अ ब्रॉडर डेफिनेशन. आप कहेंगे भाई हमें बैंक में नहीं करना, उन बैंकों में इस्लामिक बैंकों की बात नहीं हो रही, उन बैंकों को जिनकी
बैंकों में तो नहीं करना,
इंटरेस्ट में इनकम है, हमें कैपिटल फंड में नहीं करना, मॉर्गेज में नहीं करना, इंश्योरेंस में नहीं करना. हमें जो
ईटीएफ के बारे में क्या ख्याल है?
दोबारा बोलो.
ईटीएफ इलेक्ट्रॉनिक ट्रेडेड फंड्स जो हैं, जो इनका बैकअप है.
ईटीएफ एक्सटेंडेड फंड
या एक्सचेंज ट्रेडेड फंड के हैं.
अगर एक्सटेंडेड फंड के देखें, हर एक की होल्डिंग होती है, हर एक फंड में टॉप 10 होल्डिंग होंगी, 15 होंगे, 20 होंगी. ठीक है,
अब क्यू है तो वो दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा ट्रेडिंग फंड
क्यू जो है ना, वो तो सिर्फ कॉपी कर रहा है, इंडेक्स फंड है, उससे वो सिर्फ नैस्डैक को कॉपी कर रहा है, नैस्डैक 100 को. तो
वो जायज है, वो सही है?
नहीं, अब नैस्डैक 100 में आपको थोड़ा सा देखना पड़ेगा कि नैस्डैक 100 में किस तरह की कंपनियां हैं. मेजॉरिटी टीक्यूक्यू में नैस्डैक 100 में टेक्नोलॉजी की कंपनियां हैं. वीजा मास्टर नहीं मिलेंगे उसमें, या बैंक नहीं मिलेंगे आपको उसमें, बैंक नहीं है जनरली. तो वो उस हिसाब से देखो, ये आगे आखिरी लाइन, नीड ब्रॉड वर्सेस स्ट्रिक्ट डेफिनेशन. सो आई एम नॉट दैट स्ट्रिक्ट, क्योंकि मैंने इस पे हलाल का थप्पा नहीं लगाना है, ना सर्टिफिकेट लगवाना है. बट वी अल्लाह ताला जानता नहीं है हमारी, तो वी आर मीटिंग द ब्रॉडर सर्टिफिकेशन कि वी वांट टू बी आउट ऑफ दिस थिंग जस्ट बिकॉज कि हमारे हिसाब से सही नहीं. ठीक है, So why should we get into it? Otherwise, we will not be able to appeal the Muslim. मैंने बताया ना हमारी स्ट्रेटजी की ज्यादा मेरे भाई का आगे था कि इसमें मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी को चाहिए ऐसी सर्विस. बहुत सारे मुसलमान करना चाहते हैं. They confused about this. या कौन सी चीज हलाल है कौन सी नहीं है. तो we are not saying कि हम जाएंगे कहेंगे नहीं ये हलाल है जी, क्योंकि we cannot certify it. But these are our principles, and if you believe in those principles, you think the principles are good, then you're more than welcome to come. And we're not arguing with anything कि ये हलाल है हराम के चक्कर में पड़ गए ना तो कोई चीज कभी डिसाइड नहीं होती फिर.
नहीं हो सके.
One other tool is available, Wasim. I don't know if most of you probably know that. There's one website called Morningstar. आप उस पर जाके टाइप करें जो भी आपके फंड्स वगैरह जो हैं, they'll give you the top holdings.
Holdings, 10 holdings.
मैं ये चेक करता जाके कि कोई मेजॉरिटी बॉन्ड्स तो नहीं है या बैंकिंग नहीं है या सेक्टर जो भी है. I mean, like I said, nothing is 100% clear. You do your best to make your money as clean as much as you can. You know, that's what I do.
Like Zoya service hai.
So Amir, I'm also using the Morningstar. Basically, I check all the portfolio, like what is their portfolio consist of. Also, it give you one more. Another option is it give you a rate of return based on the 10%, 10-year performance of the stock.
10-year performance. You're right.
Yeah, like 10-year performance. And plus, what's the rating basically in terms of rates, basically.
And
so I'm using that tool a lot.
You're right. Uska jo cost kya hai? I think it's good information.
It's a very good information.
Not knowing anything, that's the best thing have been for me last 15 years.
एक और source में अगर आप जानते हैं तो मैं शेयर करूँ ETF.com.
ETF.com, okay.
हाँ, बहुत सिंपल सा सोर्स है ETF.com. किसी भी
I didn't know about that.
हाँ, किसी भी ETF को डाल दें उसमें, वो उससे मुकाबले में जितने जैसे ETF है उनको भी ले आएगा, उसका कंपैरिजन बता देगा, उसकी टॉप होल्डिंग बता देगा. Now you have to decide yourself कि यार ये आपके लिए सही है नहीं. So in this particular strategy, हमारी सर्विस ये होगी कि we filter out all those things. Like majority of होटल निकल जाते हैं क्योंकि कैसीनो इनमें होते हैं, या रिसोर्ट निकल जाते हैं उनमें कैसीनो होते हैं. Sorry?
मेरे उसमें साहब थे, वो देख रहे थे हम डैडी करके आ रहे हैं सुबह सुबह. मैंने कहा नहीं, वो दोस्तों से बैठ के हम फाइनेंस की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग.
That's right. Any other questions? Anything?
1 hour 30 minutes. One clarification. I think Ahmed Nadeem Mohsen was asking about or inquiring about the dividend stocks rather than buy and sell. So I think his question, was
dividend stock.
Dividend stock. The company, those who are giving good dividends quarterly or yearly. So might be, a good thing that if we want
actually
to
different market बहुत बड़ी है. It's not billions, trillions of dollars market दुनिया की जो stock. खासतौर पे US के stock market. Everyone wants to have invest there, US and European market as well. देखिए dividends stock उनके लिए अच्छे होते हैं जिनको day to day काम नहीं करना.
Retirement,
है ना. उन्होंने कहा यार मैं ऐसा हूँ जिससे कुछ इनकम आती रहे, हमारे डिविडेंड आते रहे, स्टॉक रहे, हम जब रिटायर होंगे देख लेंगे, चलता रहेगा डिविडेंड. कुछ ना कुछ हर एक अपनी स्ट्रेटेजी होती है ना. दिस पर्टिकुलर स्ट्रेटेजी इज फॉर द ग्रोथ स्टॉक. I'm talking about this particular strategy, growth stock. So it's not focused on dividend क्योंकि dividend US market में बहुत कम है. अगर किसी का 2-3% हो, is very high on a good stock. Generally broader market का S&P का less than 2% होता है. तो डिविडेंड पे हम ज्यादा फोकस करते नहीं क्योंकि हमें तो यहाँ ग्रोथ चाहिए. We want to make 15 to 20%, 10 to 15%. कहाँ गई वो स्लाइड? 1 second, give me a second. Go back. ये हमें 10 to 15% हमें फॉरेन लेना है और 20 to 25% हमें होल पोजीशन लेना है. Now think about it. एक स्टॉक आपको 25% 3 हफ्ते में दे देता है, 4 हफ्ते में. ठीक है?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Fine. डिविडेंड के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अगर उसका 4% रिटर्न है तो कितने साल में देगा आपको 20% रिटर्न? 4 साल. So where you are better off.
If you're lucky.
That's right. But some people are thinking for an alternate source of
income. हाँ तो वो तो आपकी स्ट्रेटजी डिपेंड करता है ना. अगर आप देखिए ये उनके लिए है ये पर्टिकुलर स्ट्रेटजी.
job but they want an alternate or
इवन जॉब वालों के लिए सूटेबल होगा ये कि वो ग्रोथ स्टॉक पे फोकस करें. वजह इसकी ये है, देखिए 2 स्ट्रेटजी आ गई. एक लॉन्ग टर्म आ गई. लॉन्ग टर्म में डिविडेंड प्लेज एन इंपॉर्टेंट रोल कि लॉन्ग टर्म में आप चाहते हैं कि आपकी इनकम भी आती रहे, खाली आप लेके ना बैठना 3 साल बाद देखें. दूसरी बात है कि लॉन्ग टर्म से आजकल मैं एग्री नहीं करता. मैंने कोई कंपनी ऐसी नहीं देखी जो लॉन्ग टर्म में हमेशा प्रॉफिटेबल रहा. लाइक नदीम मोहसिन, आप पाकिस्तान में किसी माने फौजी फर्टिलाइजर बहुत अच्छा डिविडेंड प्लेयर होता था, बहुत अच्छा स्टॉक था. एंग्रो होता था. और ये बात है FFC बड़े फौजी की बात कर रहा हूँ. वो 180 पे गया एक दफा स्टॉक, उसने कुछ शेयर दिया, उसके बाद से वो खाली आज तक 100 से ऊपर नहीं बढ़ा. उसके बाद को 9 साल हो गए. अरे वुड यू लाइक टू इन्वेस्ट इन सच अ स्टॉक कि जो आपको 9 साल तक रखे और 9 साल के बाद आप उड़ा के देखें तो वैल्यू आधी हो और वो डिविडेंड आपको देता रहो 5-7% हर साल, क्या फायदा? नहीं रखेंगे ना। So that's why if you want to make money, if you really want to make money, आपको इस किस्म के स्टॉक आइडेंटिफाई करने हैं जो आपको कुछ अरसे में 700, 600 और ऐसे स्टॉक अनकॉमन नहीं है। गेम स्टॉक वाज वन ऑफ दोस, गेम स्टॉक वाज एन एक्सेप्शन, वहां कुछ और हो रहा था। This stock is still playing.
Robin Hood was behind GameStop.
जो भी था, this stock is sorry. Go ahead.
One thing you should clarify that this strategy is not for the full investment. We're not banking on our whole investment strategy on our whole portfolio on this thing. Some part of that you want to take a risk, that you want to make sure you don't miss out on the market, especially on the early growth stock. Those are
actually as part of the service. इरादा मेरा ये है कि एक में इसमें हम लॉन्ग टर्म रखेंगे, जो कि मैं अपने लॉन्ग टर्म में कर ही रहा हूँ ना।
ओके,
हाँ, उसको एक होगा लॉन्ग टर्म ग्रोथ के लिए और एक होगा शॉर्ट टर्म, जो मेन स्ट्रेटेजी ये होगी। बट इन एनी केस शॉर्ट टर्म आपका जो ये है, आप देख लीजिएगा इसका रिटर्न लॉन्ग टर्म को विल बीट हैंड्स डाउन, जस्ट लाइक दिस लास्ट स्लाइड आप खुद देख लीजिए। लास्ट स्लाइड में क्या था, ये वाली 55% इन 3 months कंपेयर टू 10%। अब आप बताइए आप अपना पैसा कहाँ रखना पसंद करेंगे?
जाहिर सी बात है, at your place, but Sabri, one
not my
question.
place. What I'm saying is कि अब आप डिसाइड कर लें कि are you a long term holder? You want to go for that, which will give you 10% or maybe less than that. You long term है, और we will give you 55. but 55 के लिए आपको एफर्ट करनी पड़ेगी। एफर्ट ये है कि आपको रोजाना ट्रेडिंग करनी पड़ेगी, रोजाना सिग्नल देखने पड़ेंगे, रोजाना डेली मैनेज करना पड़ेगा।
और साबरी को फीस पे करनी पड़ेगी।
क्या करनी पड़ेगी? साबरी को
सॉफ्टवेयर आपका जो है ना, हम सब
यार एक आदमी कुछ तो बनता है यार, वसु भाई कुछ तो बनता है ऐसा तो नहीं, थोड़ा बहुत तो बनना चाहिए।
मगर मैं I would be the first
absolutely Sabri, we are already
इसलिए नहीं मैं भेज रहा हूँ कि इसलिए मैं नहीं कि सबको मैं अपना कस्टमर बना लूं। That's not the intent. आप सब लोग सवाल पूछना चाह रहे थे, मैंने कहा this is what I'm working on, this is what my strategy is.
Discount for early birds.
So Sabri, if somebody else is managing my profile and I'm paying fees for him basically.
Correct.
I'm paying for all the expense that tied up with all my portfolio investment. Why not I like your software is?
दूसरी बात ये है कि आप बहुत से लोग घरों से काम कर रहे हैं, they have time.
Yeah.
So they have time कि वो साइट पे दिन में आधा घंटा इस पे लगा दें, 15 मिनट लगा दें, या हफ्ते में 1 घंटा लगा दें, बस इतना टाइम निकाल लेंगे। घर से काम कर रहे हैं ना भाई, ऑफिस बैठे तो नहीं।
On a manufacturing side, you have to be on the operation, supporting operation.
Right.
You have to be on the floor.
और दूसरी बात ये कि क्योंकि मैं चाह रहा था कि कुछ हम करें, अगर हम बना ही रहे हैं इसको अराउंड हलाल प्रिंसिपल्स, तो अपने मुस्लिम कस्टमर के लिए करें ना कुछ।
Yes, that's very key.
मैंने मुसलमानों को काफी परेशान देखा यार, हम कौन से में करें ना करें, बैंक है, ये है, वो है, बस लोग पूछते रहते हैं मुझसे जब उनको पता चलता है। अब मैं क्या जवाब दूं, किसको क्या ना दूं, जो आज हलाल है कल हराम है, जोया बजाओ कुछ और कहता है। So that's why I've said I'm not saying it's a halal thing. I'm saying it's centered around certain principles. ठीक है? If you agree with these principles, कहाँ के वो principles? Yeah. Then you're more than happy, more than welcome. Sorry, these are the principles.
जी आवाज आ रही है मेरी?
जी आवाज आ रही है। अर्शद आ रही है।
जी साबरी साहब बहुत जबरदस्त, माशाल्लाह बहुत अच्छी आपने प्रेजेंटेशन की, और मेरे लिए ये बहुत अच्छा एक लर्निंग है, क्योंकि मैं काफी देर से सोच रहा था कुछ करूं मैं, तो मैंने तो कभी तो कुछ किया नहीं है इसमें तो बिल्कुल ही नया आदमी हूँ मैं इसके लिए। तो मुझे ये पूछना है, अभी आपसे आपने बताया कि भाई अपने जो आवर्स हैं उसमें से आप डेली 15 से 20 मिनट या आधा घंटा, तो आपका क्या असेसमेंट है कि आधा घंटा अगर रोजाना दिया जाए तो काफी होगा इसके अंदर?
बिल्कुल काफी है। कि देखिए, यू नॉट डूइंग एनी रिसर्च ऑन दिस थिंग, राइट? आपको सिग्नल मिल रहे हैं सिर्फ कि यार हमारे हिसाब से आज के ट्रेंड इनमें शुरू हो रहे हैं या अगले हफ्ते के, इनको इस रेंज में बाय कर लें। अगर जो एग्जिस्टिंग पोजीशन है, अगर उस पोजीशन में पहुंच गए तो प्रॉफिट ले लें, या ये लॉस में आ रही है तो लॉस से निकाल दें, या ये जो है इस पे इसको भी रखें। So that's not a job which takes more than 10, 15 or 20 minutes a day.
सही। अच्छा, ये जो आपके सारे इंडिकेटर्स हैं, ये सिर्फ ये नॉर्थ अमेरिकन स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के लिए, पाकिस्तान के लिए भी है?
पाकिस्तान के लिए नहीं है, इसकी वजह है पाकिस्तान से मार्केट से, विद ऑल ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट टू माय पाकिस्तानी ब्रदर, हमारा साल है पाकिस्तान, मैंने उसके संग पाकिस्तान की मार्केट इज हाईली मैनिपुलेटेड, मेरा तजुर्बा है उससे। और पाकिस्तान की मार्केट का मसला ये है कि पाकिस्तान की मार्केट जो है ना, वो पॉलिटिकल इंस्टेबिलिटी इतनी ज्यादा है कि उसकी वजह से मार्केट में किसी चीज का कुछ पता ही नहीं चलता। सब चीजें छोड़ दें, ये स्लाइड देखें, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट। पाकिस्तान में आप रिस्क मैनेज नहीं कर सकते, इंडिविजुअल पर्सन की बात कर रहा हूँ मैं, पीपल लाइक यू एंड मी, ये नहीं कर सकते हम रिस्क मैनेज। वहाँ के जो सिस्टम्स हैं या जो मेथड है, एक दिन उठ के देखेंगे तो वो 8% से ज्यादा 15% नीचे होगा, दूसरे दिन उठ के देखेंगे कुछ और होगा, जिस दिन सारी कॉम एक चीज के पीछे लगी होगी। जहाँ आप रिस्क मैनेज ना कर सकते हो, मेरे हिसाब से आप वहाँ इन्वेस्ट ना करें।
Okay.
Sabri, एक और चीज क्लैरिफिकेशन के लिए यार, if you don't mind. Basically, your platform is going to provide the guidance and the services, what to do, which what stock and when. But it's not going to be a one platform that you can also do the trading or and so forth, correct? Because some of us, like me, I don't have any other one except which I use Fidelity from company, you know, and most are all mutual funds. So if we are doing this short-term trading, do you have advice like what tools to use? Is it you know, that who are the better ones since you already have the experience? Would you also share those platforms?
Definitely general guidelines definitely होंगी.
Okay, thank you.
More or less, Amir, almost all good stock companies, America is US is a very competitive market, like Fidelity, like Charles Schwab, they have very good platform like interactive brokers.
Yeah.
ठीक है? There could be issues in other countries. लेकिन यूरोप में भी I'm sure कि बहुत से अच्छे मौजूद हैं. Coming back to your question about the future में एक हमारा plan ये है. Obviously उसके लिए बहुत ज़्यादा एक टीम चाहिए, वो एक इंडिविजुअल के बस की बात नहीं। क्या ऑटो ट्रेडिंग जिसे कहते हैं। आमिर अजीज ने कहा कि यार मेरे पास टाइम नहीं है भाई किसी चीज का, ओके, बट आई हैव $100,000 $1 million। ये मैंने फिडेलिटी का अकाउंट खोल लिया। These days, those companies, brokerage houses, they allow you through their, they call it API system. Interfacing system होता है, उसे कहते हैं API. Probably you have heard of that. उस API system के through their platforms are connected to an outside computer, whoever you authorize, okay? अब आप कहेंगे हम आप मुझे एक्सेस दे देते हैं ऑनेस्ट चार्जेस, ओके। अब आपने कुछ भी नहीं करना, आपका जो भी है आपने सर्टेन गाइडलाइन देने की, कोई स्टॉक $10,000 से ज्यादा का नहीं खरीदना ओवरऑल एक में, और इससे ज्यादा लॉस नहीं करना। हम कहेंगे ठीक है, जो सिग्नल आ रहे हैं ऑटोमेटिकली ट्रेड हो रहे हैं, यू आर डूइंग नथिंग इन अदर वर्ड्स। So that is a project जो मेरे जहन में है, but that's a big project, क्योंकि उसके लिए आपको एक सपोर्टिंग टीम चाहिए होगी, उसके लीगल इश्यूज हैं, उसके टेक्निकल इश्यूज हैं, टैक्स इश्यूज हैं, बहुत सारी चीजें हैं ना, जो आपने अपना अकाउंट किसी दूसरे के हाथ में दे।
AI, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस।
नो, API की टर्म है, आई मीन इंटरफेस है, इतना मुझे पता है, ऑटोमोटिव या ऑटोमेटिक प्रोग्रामिंग इंटरफेस, सॉरी याद आ गया मुझे, ऑटोमेटिक प्रोग्रामिंग।
AI ही होता है ना, कि बिकॉज़
नो AI तो ये होता है कि डेटा एनालिसिस करके कोई सिस्टम खुद ब खुद डिसाइड करे, मशीन लर्निंग। मशीन लर्निंग यहाँ ये है कि हम सिस्टम, आपने सिस्टम को मैनुअली सिग्नल दिए, क्योंकि इसमें लॉट ऑफ मैनुअल सिग्नल्स है ना। वैसे मेरे भाई वैसे AI पे काम कर रहे हैं, वो कहते हैं तो AI में भी हम कर सकते हैं, ओके। Once the signals are there, that API interface will automatically give signal to customer's account, like आपका अकाउंट या आमिर अजीज अकाउंट है, कि आप इसको ट्रेड कर दो, उसको फायदा, that's all। So अब आपने खुद भी नहीं करना।
सॉरी, आपने वो इंटरैक्टिव ब्रोकरेज का फ्रेंड्स एंड फैमिली सेटअप देखा है? उसमें ऑलमोस्ट यही चीज नहीं है?
बिल्कुल यही है।
12 लोगों के आप फ्रेंड एंड फैमिली के मैनेज कर सकते हैं, वो अपने अकाउंट।
हाँ, लेकिन फ्रेंड एंड फैमिली की बहुत सारी लिमिटेशंस हैं। हाँ, वो सिर्फ आप चंद लोगों के लिए कर सकते हैं, अपने फ्रेंड्स फैमिली के लिए, है ना। I'm talking about a mass scale.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a big, जिसमें फ्रेंड और फैमिली नहीं है, जनरल कस्टमर है।
नहीं तो हम लोग तो अर्ली बर्ड्स हैं ना।
हाँ, आप तो अर्ली बर्ड
नहीं, point is
अर्ली बर्ड डिस्काउंट कोई मांग रहा था, मैं तो आप एडवाइस दे रहा हूं।
मांग रहा था यार, मैं मसूद
नहीं मसूद,
देसी झलक रही है ना, देसी।
भाई हम लोगों को तो टाइम चला गया। मैं ये चाह रहा था कि अब अपने बच्चों को गाइड कर सकते हैं यार, आई मीन इन मे बी
लेट मी, लोग दुआ करेंगे इसमें कामयाब हो जाऊं मैं, क्योंकि बिजनेस एस्टैब्लिश करना, चलाने का काम। अख्तर शेख ने रेज हैंड किया हुआ है,
जी जनाब, शुक्रिया।
भाई इसमें कोई क्लिप मत लगा देना यार, तो भाई
क्लिप भेज देंगे।
तस्वीर भी दिखाओ पहले,
क्लिप भेज देंगे।
ठीक है,
आवाज आ रही है, तस्वीर नहीं आ रही है अख्तर।
टेक्निकल डिफिकल्टी। मुझे ये पूछना था साबिर कि ये आपने अपना जो सिस्टम डेवलप किया है, इसका प्लेटफॉर्म क्या है? आर यू यूजिंग अ थर्ड पार्टी प्लेटफॉर्म फॉर ऑल दिस एफर्ट? और दूसरे जो आपने ऑटोमेशन की बात की है, जो पॉसिबिलिटीज का, इसको मैंने भी किसी हद तक एक्सपीरियंस किया है। एक चीज जो मेरा एक्सपीरियंस है वो मैं शेयर करना चाह रहा हूँ कि all these strategies that we talk about or whatever is in the market today, they are good as long as your market is riding smooth, regardless of the trend, right? Whether it's uptrend or downtrend. Magar as soon as you touch volatile situation, like COVID में जो हुआ था 4-6 महीने के लिए, then everything fails. उसको कैसे प्रिवेंट करेंगे आप? अगर
मैं बताता हूँ। देखिए, ये आप चार्ट देखा आपने, ये वाला, ओके? हेलो ना, ये जो रेड आपको रेक्टेंगल है, दोज आर द बेयर साइकिल्स, इसी आप बात कर रहे हैं। और ये जो ब्लिप्स हैं विद इन दैट, ये देखिए छोटा सा ये आया कोविड का ब्लिप, और ये वाला था जहां मेरा एरो है, इफ यू कैन सी द एरो, ये जहां जो ट्रेड चाइना यूएस चाइना ट्रेड वार थी, ये उसका ब्लिप था, इफ आई रिकॉल करेक्टली। वो ये था, और ये जो फेड की वजह से कुछ गड़बड़ हो गई थी, इंटरेस्ट रेट फेड बढ़ा रहा था, तो इसकी वजह से। नाउ सिस्टम इज लाइक दैट कि ऑटोमेटिकली ट्रेंड विल स्टॉप वर्किंग, जो भी ट्रेंड करेंगे वो कामयाब नहीं होगा, ठीक है? कल क्या होना है तो किसी को नहीं पता ना, जैसे अल्लाह ताला को पता है ना, राइट? सो अल्टीमेटली आपके स्टॉप लॉसेस बढ़ जाएंगे, ट्रेंड फेल होना शुरू हो जाएंगे, एंड देयर आर सम सिस्टम जो हम फॉलो करते हैं, उससे अंदाजा हो जाएगा कि मार्केट इज इन दिस चॉपी स्टेट। एट दैट टाइम हम कहेंगे जरा मार्केट से सब पोजीशन हम नहीं लेंगे।
By that time you will potentially lose thousands of dollars.
No, ऐसा नहीं होगा ना, हमने देखेंगे पूरा,
इंशाल्लाह नहीं होगा,
ऐसा नहीं होगा इंशाल्लाह। इसकी ये वजह ये देखिए कि आपके जो रिस्क मैनेजमेंट के जो प्रिंसिपल्स हैं वो क्या है, कि आपने कभी हमारे अगर सिस्टम पे आप चल रहे हैं तो हम इसको एवरेज लॉस को 6 to 7% ज्यादा बढ़ने ही नहीं देते, ऑल्दो एट टाइम वी लूज गुड अपॉर्चुनिटीज। ऐसा होता है कि एक स्टॉक 10% नीचे आ गया, फिर ऊपर निकल गया, लेकिन हमारे हिसाब से हम आउट हो गए उससे। हम किसी स्टॉक अपने एवरेज लॉस को 6 to 7% की रेंज से ऊपर बढ़ने नहीं, मैक्सिमम हमारा 8% है। हमारा जो रिस्क टू रिवॉर्ड है वो 2 to 3 टाइम्स है, तो अगर हमें 3 लॉस होंगे और 1 प्रॉफिट होगा, हम वी आर स्टिल ब्रेकिंग इवन। समझ नहीं पाता, इसमें अपनी पर्टिकुलर स्ट्रेटजी की बात है,
क्योंकि 25% प्रॉफिट ले रहे हैं ना।
हाँ, हम ले रहे हैं 20 to 25%, लॉस ले रहे हैं 6 to 7%। तो अगर एक आपका कामयाब हो गई ट्रेड और 3 लॉस हो गई, जस्ट 25% सक्सेस रेट, इवन देन यू आर ब्रेकिंग इवन। और अगर आपने ऐसा स्टॉक पकड़ लिया जो हमने जनवरी में ये पकड़ा था, इसी साल की बात हो रही है, जनवरी से अप्रैल अभी भी चल रहा है ये, तो इसका रिटर्न देखिए 772%, तो ये अकेला काफी है। आप अच्छा 20 जो है वो ले लें 6% लॉस पे, 50 ले लें 6% लॉस पे, ये अकेला काफी है उसको कवर करने के लिए। तो दिस इज व्हाट वी आर ट्राइंग टू डू, कि इस तरह के स्टॉक के ट्रेंड सबके आइडेंटिफाई आएंगे, इसको मिस ना होने दें, और इसमें से कुछ अच्छे आ जाएं तो उनको पकड़ लें, और एज लॉन्ग एज दिस गिविंग स्मूथ। देखो अब इसी की बात देख लो, फरवरी से एंड से मार्च का पीरियड, ये फरवरी का एंड था, फरवरी मिड से, सॉरी, यहाँ से मार्च का पीरियड, इस स्टॉक में फिर भी आपको अच्छा रिटर्न दिया है। फरवरी के मिड में ये था तकरीबन $10 पे, अब है 27 पे, 170% रिटर्न तो यही है, ठीक है?
Sabri, this could be hard coded in your software algorithm, or
this could be, my brother is working on that. This could be
so you're not going to be giving option to the user to change the setting to threshold 7 to 8% to, let's say, someone to do. Okay,
आपके पास तो हमारी एडवाइस आ रही है, आपके पास एडवाइस आ रही है ना, अब ये आपके हाथ में, आप 7% कहेंगे नहीं यार मैं तो भाई आपकी बात नहीं मान रहा, आपको बस एडवाइस आ रही है ना।
Okay.
अब आपने 50% लेवल लेना लॉस पे, आप 10% इट्स अप टू यू, सो एवरीवन's will be different scenario.
You're getting flagged, you're getting signals. Okay, I'm with you. Yeah,
Akhtar have answered your question. सिस्टम हमारा ये है कि हम लॉस को कंट्रोल करते हैं अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस रिस्क मैनेजमेंट प्रिंसिपल, एंड दैट इज व्हाई मैं पाकिस्तान के आंसर बात ये कर रहा था उनसे, नदीम चार्ली से, मोहसिन से, कि पाकिस्तान के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से इसको मैनेज करना बहुत मुश्किल है, करना मुमकिन नहीं है, एटलीस्ट क्योंकि वहां के जो ब्रोकरेज हाउस के सिस्टम है वो इतने डेवलप नहीं है, और अगर स्टॉप लॉस भी लगाते हैं तो रात को खत्म हो जाते हैं, कल को दोबारा लगाने पड़ेंगे, तो यू कैन नॉट मैनेज इट। तो मेरे हिसाब से ऐसे सिस्टम में ऐसी जगह काम करना बेकार है जहां आपने रिस्क को मैनेज नहीं कर सकते, बिकॉज स्टॉक मार्केट इज ऑल अबाउट मैनेजिंग योर रिस्क, इट्स ऑल अबाउट मैनेजिंग योर रिस्क, मैनेजिंग योर इमोशन एंड साइकोलॉजी।
और प्लेटफॉर्म कौन सा यूज कर रहे हैं?
प्लेटफॉर्म मेरा अपना पर्सनल, मेरे पास 2 हैं, ई ट्रेड व्हिच हैज बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ दैट मॉर्गन स्टैनली ग्रुप, और मेरा मेन जो है वो इंटरैक्टिव ब्रोकर है, और वो मेरे पर्सनल है ना, मैं पर्सनल यूज कर रहा हूं।
नहीं, ये जो आपका सिस्टम रहेगा इसका प्लेटफॉर्म,
सिस्टम ऑटोमेटिकली ट्रेड नहीं कर रहा ना अभी, जो सिस्टम ऑटोमेटिकली
नहीं कर रहा, मगर जो आप जो स्ट्रेटजी डेवलप कर रहे हैं ये किस सिस्टम पे कर रहे हैं?
नहीं, ये सिस्टम तो मेरा अपना एक है, इसमें कुछ प्रोग्रामिंग इन्वॉल्व है, इसमें जो प्रोग्रामिंग इन्वॉल्व है, इसमें कई प्लेटफॉर्म इन्वॉल्व है, एक से नहीं आ रहा ये बार चार्ट से भी इसमें इनपुट आ रही है, स्टॉक चार्ट से भी आ रही है, डिफरेंट सॉफ्टवेयर, इसमें सियरा चार्ट एक सॉफ्टवेयर है, उसकी वो C++ में बना हुआ है, उसकी इनपुट आती है। मेरी मेन प्रोग्रामिंग, क्योंकि प्रोग्रामिंग का मुझे बहुत शौक था, मेरी है विजुअल बेसिक में, क्योंकि मेरे पास सारा डेटा आता है एक्सेल में, एक्सेल बना हुआ है विजुअल बेसिक में माइक्रोसॉफ्ट का, तो मेरे अपने कुछ उसको प्रोग्राम है जो कि उसको फिल्टर आउट करते हैं, वो मेरे विजुअल बेसिक में बने हैं। सो दैट इज नॉट फॉर द कस्टमर्स। उसके बाद सिर्फ आउटपुट आएगी, या ये ले लो, ये रख लो, ये बेच दो, इतनी रेंज में रखना। और अब रिस्क मैनेजमेंट, स्टॉप लॉस आ गया, अब स्टॉप लॉस को हमारी वेरी हार्ड प्रिंसिपल है कि हमने 8% से ऊपर से बढ़ने ही नहीं देते किसी लॉस को। हाईली अनयूजुअल सिचुएशन, जैसे ओवरनाइट की स्टॉक बहुत गिर गया, उसमें पता लगा कि आज सुबह उठे तो पता लगा वो 10% नीचे जा चुका है, उसमें कभी ऐसा हो जाता है, अदरवाइज नहीं होता। जी आप कुछ कह रहे थे, सॉरी।
Sabri, so that means if we are subscribing your services, so everyone's going to have their own profile and their own stocks.
And, at the time.
And you're going to get advice for those stocks plus more, correct?
Yes. अब आप उसमें ज्यादा भी ले सकते हैं, कम भी रह सकते हैं, आप चाहें उस advice, it's up to you because this is in your hand.
Yeah.
Right? It's not my hand. जो ऑटो ट्रेडिंग की जो फीचर आएगा ना, जब भी जो मेरे लॉन्ग टर्म प्लान में है, नॉट इमीडिएट, होता है नहीं होता अलग पता है, ऑटो ट्रेडिंग एक ऐसा होगा कि उसमें वो चीज आपके हाथ से निकल के, यानी कस्टमर के हाथ से निकल के सिस्टम के हाथ में चली जाएगी
based on your settings.
हाँ, but that stage is quite far away. Maybe शायद वो ना हो कि ऑटो ट्रेडिंग इज अ वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स सब्जेक्ट। उसके लिए आपको बहुत बड़ी टीम चाहिए होगी, लीगल टीम भी चाहिए होगी, कई लोग चाहिए होंगे, प्रोग्रामर की टीम चाहिए होगी, कस्टमर मैनेजर चाहिए होंगे जो रोजाना कस्टमर अकाउंट जाके देख रहा हूँ। ठीक है,
This is good. I think in retirement, man, we need something to keep us busy, man. This will be one of those things. I can tell you this.
Okay, मेरा ख्याल है it's been a long session. एक घंटा तो ऊपर हो गया।
Yeah, this is a good session.
Thank you very much, Sabri.
Very good session.
नहीं, thanks to शाहिद साहब, शाहिद भाई उन्होंने अपने कैसे सेशन कर लिया।
Yeah, but it's a good effort. I think Sabri, what you're doing. I have a lot of friends. You know, they have the same reservation. You know, they end up doing their own, like I'm doing. But I think we can share with our friends also. You know, hopefully you're not going to restrict to.
Actually, मैं आपको बताऊं, आपको अलग है साइकोलॉजी की और कैपिटल की। नंबर 1 प्रिंसिपल आपको चाहिए, पहले आपको कैपिटल बचे, क्योंकि there are big fishes out there जो कि आपको कैपिटल के पीछे होंगी।
Exactly. You don't want those.
You want right signal at the right time. That's what the service is all about. Number 1. Number 2, चूंकि हम मुसलमान हैं, तो हमें मुसलमान कम्युनिटी के लिए बेसिक ये है कि कोई ऐसी चीज होनी चाहिए जनरली इन प्रिंसिपल्स के अराउंड रिवॉल्व करे। ठीक है, अब आपको डिसाइड कर लेना भाई ये हलाल है नहीं, किसी की, क्योंकि हलाल हराम की हर एक की डेफिनेशन डिफरेंट होती है। मैं ऐसे लोगों को जानता हूँ जो कि मछली में भी पापलेट मछली नहीं खाते, कहते हराम है। मिसाल दे रहा हूँ आपको। हम पाकिस्तान
No, Sabri, you provide the guideline. Basically, the person can look and make a decision.
Yes. हमारी जनरली ये है भाई, and I'm pretty sure कि most Muslim at least
most people will agree. Most people
कहाँ
will
से आ
agree
रहे
with that.
कि I won't say कि ये नॉन, इसको हमारे क्लाइंट नॉन मुस्लिम भी होंगे, तो मैं उनसे नहीं कहना चाहूंगा कि ये हलाल सर्टिफिकेशन है हलाल। मैं कहूंगा भाई ये हमारे प्रिंसिपल है, you want to agree to our principle, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, except some Republicans.
मसूद है ना लाइन पे सबसे पहले।
Not only Republican, is pro-Trump. Proud to be pro-Trump Republican.
Oh my
That's another
God.
one. That's another class.
ये दोबारा आ गया MGMA का क्राउड में
pro-Trump person who is not even a US stakeholder.
मसूद भाई आपके लिए खास क्लिप आप ही को भेजूंगा, बीच में पब्लिक पे नहीं डाल सकता हूँ।
नहीं अख्तर भाई ये कॉपी करना, ये क्या बात है
अख्तर, गलत बात है ये
गलत
नहीं हो सकता
यार, सब कुछ
शेयर सबके साथ होनी चाहिए।
The good thing about your clips is they are brief, so it's fun.
I'm open and broad-minded.
यार मुझे तो
enjoy everything.
ये समझ नहीं आता कि इतने छोटे-छोटे क्लिप टू द पॉइंट और उसको वहां से सिलेक्ट करके इतनी जल्दी कैसे ले आता।
ये अख्तर भाई ये क्लिप ट्रम्प साहब का है कि उनकी अहलिया का है जो आप भेज रहे हैं?
तो ट्रम्प का ही है,
साहबजादी का।
अभी आप अलग में भेज रहे हैं।
50-50 पे पूरी रिसर्च है भाई, अख्तर की PhD है वो।
I know, I'm really enjoying it because कितना अरसा हो गया यार, उसको 30 साल से पहले चीजें देखी थी अब।
50-50 is very good one.
Good, Akhtar, keep it up.
Thank you.
Keep it up, Akhtar.
Call it a day.
Thank you, Sabri.
Thank you, Sabri.
Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.
अच्छा अब इसमें ये है कि और भी हाँ
एक मिनट, अख्तर पहली दफा आए मीटिंग में, हमने लास्ट टाइम नहीं थे। अगर आप अपना वीडियो ऑन करके 1 मिनट का इंट्रोडक्शन बताएं, क्या कर रहे हैं, कहाँ हैं?
किसकी बात कर रहे हैं?
इस वक्त वॉशरूम में बैठा हूँ, आप देखना चाहेंगे?
क्या
यार इतनी लंबी वॉशरूम में हो तुम यार, अख्तर कम ऑन।
क्लिप भेज देना बाद में, क्लिप।
शेख साहब दिखाएंगे क्या बाथरूम से, बताइए पहले।
हाँ,
दिखाएंगे क्या बाथरूम से आप?
मैं कमोड दिखा देता हूँ आपको कितना किया मैंने।
सबके पास है यार, परेशानी क्या बात है?
झलका दिखा दो भाई, हमें मुखड़ा दिखा दो अपना अख्तर।
जलवा तो दिखा दें सर आप।
जलवा भेजता हूँ मैं आपको।
भाई बाथरूम का जलवा आ जाएगा ना।
हुलिया ऐसा नहीं है, हुलिया ऐसा नहीं है इस वक्त। आप लोग कहेंगे कि ये बाथरूम
तो
और
आप
हुलिया।
तो हलाल कपड़ों में क्यों नहीं थे आप? आपको मीटिंग से पहले जरूर कंडीशन है यार। नेक्स्ट टाइम प्लीज
शावर यूज कर रहे हैं।
नेक्स्ट टाइम
इंशाल्लाह चले फिर नेक्स्ट टाइम। और ये कि हम लोग जो है ईद के बाद फिर एक आध सेशन और भी इस तरह कर सकते हैं,
रख लेंगे। अच्छा नासिर कौन है? सॉरी नासिर एक है पार्टिसिपेंट, मैं पहचान लिया। नासिर जरी तो उसमें नहीं है हमारे ग्रुप में।
नहीं नासिर नहीं है।
तो ये नासिर कौन है?
तो बोला ना वीडियो ऑन करें।
एक सेकंड मैंने नासिर, इफ यू आर हियरिंग, अपना अनम्यूट करके अपना तारुफ करा दें।
नासिर वो तो नहीं है शब्बर वाला ग्रुप में जो
नासिर चौधरी होते थे।
नहीं यार नासिर चौधरी तो मुझे याद।
अनम्यूट कर इनको यार, आप
कर दिया मैंने।
साबरी भाई।
हाँ जी।
ये
साबरी भाई, दिस इज मुबशिर यार। मैं भी एक्सरसाइज कर रहा हूँ और अभी प्लैंकिंग पोजीशन में, मैं आपको कुछ दिखा नहीं सकता।
तो आपका नाम मुबशिर नासिर चौधरी, नासिर के नाम से आ रहा है इसमें।
तो भाई ये
नासिर मेरा निकनेम था, मुबशिर वैसे नाम है मेरा।
हाँ आई नो दैट। नासिर मुझे।
अब एक्सरसाइज करते हैं नाम चेंज कर लेते हैं मुबशिर।
आई नो आज मुबशिर और अख्तर, नेक्स्ट टाइम आप लोगों ने शक्ल दिखानी है भाई आप लोगों ने।
100% सर, सॉरी अभी मैं नहीं कर सकता।
ओके।
जैसे मुजफ्फर एक हैं जिनके मैंने कोई कमेंट नहीं सुने। मुजफ्फर एनीथिंग फ्रॉम यू?
यार मैं आप लोगों की बातें बहुत तवज्जो से सुन रहा हूँ, लेकिन जो मैं समझा इससे, मतलब हम लोग पाकिस्तान में रहते हुए इन चीजों से कोई फायदा नहीं हो सकता हमें।
ऑनेस्टली मैं इसमें थोड़ा सा गिल्टी फील कर रहा हूँ, क्योंकि मैं पाकिस्तान के मार्केटिंग से वहीं मैंने सीखा, वहीं काम करता हूँ। लेकिन वो बात आ गई ना कि मैं किसी को गलत एडवाइस कैसे दे दूं। देखो ना रिस्क
मैनेजमेंट यूएस मार्केट फ्रॉम पाकिस्तान थ्रू
रिस्क मैनेजमेंट आप नहीं कर सकते मेरे हिसाब से। वहां नहीं करने। नंबर 1। नंबर 2, पाकिस्तान की मार्केट जो है ना वो इतनी मैनिपुलेटेड है कि उसमें बहुत मुश्किल है कि कोई इंडिविजुअल जिसको अगर अपने पैसे की परवाह नहीं है फिर तो ठीक है, लेकिन अगर आपको अपने पैसे की परवाह है तो मैं कहूंगा कि भाई आप जितना उसे बचा सकते हैं ना उसे बचा लें वहां से।
नहीं साबरी, सवाल ये है वो पाकिस्तान से बैठ के ई ट्रेड में यहाँ पर इन्वेस्ट नहीं कर सकते हैं यूएस मार्केट में?
नहीं आई थिंक
जनरली जो है वो होता है। सॉरी
होना जरूरी नहीं है।
नहीं जनरली जो है जिस कंट्री में है उस कंट्री में वो ब्रोकरेज का अकाउंट वो होना चाहिए ऑपरेशन।
ओहो।
तो ई ट्रेड वाले यूएस में किसी नॉन यूएस रेजिडेंट को जिसके पास उसको नहीं देते अकाउंट। अगर ई ट्रेड की बात कर रहे हैं, सेम गोस फॉर इंटरएक्टिव ब्रोकर्स।
और इसके अलावा अगर इवन आप यूएस रेजिडेंट है या कैनेडियन है और आप पाकिस्तान में हैं एंड यू आर ट्राइंग टू एक्सेस योर अकाउंट फ्रॉम देयर, बाज ट्रेडिंग फर्म्स आईपी एड्रेस नॉन यूएस और नॉर्थ अमेरिकन आईपी एड्रेस देके दे ब्लॉक इट। जैसे सिटी बैंक है, और आप ट्रैवल करने से पहले आप यू टेल देम कि मैं ट्रैवल कर रहा हूँ, मैं आई विल बी यूजिंग माय कार्ड इन सच एंड सच कंट्री, वरना वो फ्रॉड प्रोटेक्शन के उसमें ऑटोमेटिकली ब्लॉक हो जाता है। आपको अलर्ट्स आएंगे पहले और अगर आपने जवाब नहीं दिया तो ब्लॉक हो जाता है।
तो भाई तुम ये कह रहे हो अगर रिटायरमेंट के दौरान हम सोच रहे हैं हम पाकिस्तान जाके रहें, अब यू कैन एक्सेस योर रिटायरमेंट अकाउंट फ्रॉम देयर?
नहीं यू कैन, मगर ये इट्स लिटिल हाँ एक्स्ट्रा रिस्क है कि कभी हो सकता है आप जैसे बैंक को करते हैं ना ट्रैवल करने से पहले कि मैं रहूंगा तो दे आस्क यू डेट्स कि कब
आई नो दैट ओके
चलिए मैं पाकिस्तान जाता हूँ, मैं करता हूँ सेक्शन फिर दोनों अकाउंट वहां से होते हैं, कोई मसला नहीं है। एक आईपी की राउंड अबाउट वे है और वो है वीपीएन उसे कहते हैं ना। हाँ लेकिन वो राउंड अबाउट है। अगर कभी वो वीपीएन काम नहीं किया आप पकड़ लिया तो फिर तो वो ना करे तो बेहतर है। लेकिन मैं यहाँ के अकाउंट मैंने यहाँ खोले, मैं पाकिस्तान जाता हूँ तो मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होती तो इंटरनेट की होती है। कभी इंटरनेट आ रहा नहीं जा रहा है, कभी स्पीड स्लो हो गई, उसमें होती है।
अब तो पाकिस्तान में अच्छा इंटरनेट हो गया है, वहां भी
हो गया पाकिस्तान में कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं। अकाउंट मैं कनाडा के अकाउंट एक्सेस कर लेता हूँ।
हाँ ये करते हैं। लेकिन वो क्वेश्चन हो गया मुजफ्फर का जो क्वेश्चन था या आपका किसी का कि एक सर्विस जो कभी ऐसी वाइल्ड सा आइडिया है कि अगर हम बीइंग पाकिस्तानी हम ये कर सकते हैं कि भाई अगर है कि हम एक काइंड ऑफ म्यूचुअल फंड खोलें परमिशन लेके बगा तो वो जो पूरा बिजनेस है वो कर सकता है कोई। अब वो पाकिस्तानियों से फंड ले और यहाँ इन्वेस्ट करे और यहाँ का जो रिटर्न है उनको पाकिस्तान वापस भेजें। अब आई डोंट नो उसमें गवर्नमेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान की भी 10 रिस्ट्रिक्शन वो आ जाएंगी रिक्वायरमेंट,
जरदारी आ जाएगा बीच में,
जरदारी बीच में आ जाएगा, यूएस में आ जाएगा, तो वो नेक्स्ट इम्पॉसिबल हो जाएगा। फॉर एग्जांपल इंटरैक्टिव ब्रोकर आई नो इट वेरी वेल कि इंडिया में उनके ऑपरेशन है और आप इंडियन वहां से अकाउंट खुला सकता है और वो सारे इंडियन के स्टॉक में भी कर सकता है और आई डोंट नो वो यूएस में कर सकता है नहीं कर सकता सब क्या है, क्योंकि आई एम नॉट इन इंडियन तो मैं नहीं बता सकता, लेकिन इंडिया में कई कंपनी से ऑपरेशन है। ऑलराइट सर, ओके, इट्स बीन अ वेरी नाइस टाइम।
ओके भाई, इंशाल्लाह फिर
अल्लाह हाफिज़।
दुआ में याद रखिएगा सर, आई नीड योर प्रेयर्स, एवरीवनस प्रेयर्स।
ओके जी, अल्लाह हाफिज़।
दुआ में याद रखिएगा।
अल्लाह हाफिज़।
अल्लाह हाफिज़।
थैंक यू, अल्लाह हाफिज़।
अक्सर नेक्स्ट टाइम कपड़े पहन के भाई
जरूर।
शाहिद कुछ कह रहे थे?